be a mental game. It's going to be a real mental battle here tonight to try and see who comes out on top on this very, very tricky track. There's downhill sections, there's off camber, there's tight, there's fast, but ultimately it's very narrow. And yeah, I don't know where those passes. There's going to be some bumper bashing.
Clarky, we asked you to have a look at the circuit, and of course some of the famous names and famous bends at Brands Hatch. You've got the likes of Paddock Hill Bend, Druids. You've got the Clark Bend. You've got the Sheen Bend. There's a whole bunch of areas that we've got to be looking at tonight, and it's certainly going to be, as Rob said, challenging to try and make overtaking maneuvers.
Yeah, I think in any GT endurance race, I think you have to be really patient to overtake because, I mean, those cars are very wide, wider than you think they are. So this track it's actually quite funny. I was testing around the track with some friends, and just every time around, I think it was Dingledale, where they kept on just going off onto the gravel trap, and I had to wait up and slow them. So it was a joy racing around that track, testing it out. So definitely uphills, downhills. It's a really bumpy track. It's really narrow, so you also have to click the curbs a lot, and you can completely unsettle the car. So we might see a bunch of people going off the track into the gravel trap, maybe even into the barrier. So it's going to be interesting to see how people get past each other. Maybe onto the Brabham Straight, but we all know that turn one, the Brands Hatch is a little bit of a travesty, and the gravel track comes up quite quickly. Maybe some overtaking moves into drowns. Other than that, I don't really see anywhere else where you can pass, but it's sim racing, anything can happen.
And usually does. It usually does. That's the biggest thing. I mean, we saw at the incredible circuit we had for the Superhero one, which was completely different to everything that we've ever raced before. And having a look at what happened at Black Cat County, there were some maneuvers that were pulled on a similar vein to what both Rob and I are used to. And that's, of course, when you look at, Laguna Seca and the corkscrew, where a certain Valentino Rossi made a maneuver over the dirt. Do you think we're going to be seeing some of those today? And do you think Baptist Hugo's going to have his wits about him tonight as our officials sort of head, the COC and our steward?
Oh, definitely. It's going to be challenging to keep that car on the track whilst going wheel to wheel because it's, again, really, really narrow track with huge cars. So might be a little bit of warnings and penalties for exceeding track limits. So let's just see how it goes. Definitely going to see some people going onto the curb and into the gravel, maybe even to move an illegal overtake. So, yeah, hopefully people can get some of their elbows out, try and fight back. It's going to be really interesting.
Yeah, I think so, buddy. I think so. Rob, you know the circuit pretty well as a racer yourself. On a motorcycle, of course, Brands is probably an easier circuit to have some fun on because you've got a little bit more space to play when you've only got two wheels and a couple of centimeters between each rider. We're looking at cars that these guys are going to be participating in tonight. Big V8 Vantage, Aston Martin, McLaren 570S, and I mean it's a whole other ball game when you're there with four wheels.
It really is proper old school British track, nice and narrow. That section, there's that section, that Dingledale section, that really is going to catch out a lot of drivers. It's a blind rise up right-hander that bike riders often get wrong. So easy, especially I can't imagine in a four-wheeled car because I've never driven one around there, but I can imagine the car and the steering getting very light over there. I think there's going to be plenty of incidents over there, and I really can't tell you how challenging that's going to be. And then, of course, the track that we're going to start at is completely different to Brands Hatch. Brands Hatch is more of a go-kart track, going to be very challenging. The other track that we're going to start off with the GT4 competitors now is Silverstone. And that's a little bit more wide open, a little bit more fast flowing, but again, typical British style. Those corners close up on you, and that's going to be a test of proper endurance because it is a long track. There are lots of corners around there, lots of challenging corners, ones that tighten up on you, ones that you don't. There's like 5 apexes to a corner as we see the graphics here now. It's going to be very challenging. It's going to, again, be not a case of being the fastest driver, but the most consistently fastest driver is going to come out on top. So you can see using a lot of curbs there, like Clark says. I think that's going to be a big key factor. but not too much curb, because if you take too much, you're going to find yourself in that gravel, and those gravel traps can be thick, and it could cause a lot of problems. But love this section coming onto the front straight. That might be looked at as something, just cutting the curb a little bit too much there across the start-finish straight. But again, a little bit more tar to play with, but could be a drag race to that line. We could see 4 cars abreast going across that line, like we saw Alex Rins do to Marc Marquez in MotoGP last year.
Yeah, no doubt about it. If you look at Silverstone as well there, Clark, the cool thing with Silverstone is it's slightly wider, a lot of straights where these big V8s can put the power down. I think if you look at the hangar straight that's on the circuit, in our first outing at Silverstone, cars were reaching sort of the 260, 270 km an hour mark. So probably going to be looking at a little bit quicker than that tonight with these big V8s. What's the strategy for these guys to try and stay there as we're almost ready to go?
It takes a lot of patience. This track, there's such little room in certain corners of the track, like maggots and Beckett's. It's going to be difficult to get through there without cutting the corners, as well as cops. You can, if you unsettle the car or mess up at that corner, just go an inch wider. You can just go completely off the track. And on that curb is quite bumpy, and it's going to be really hard to keep it on track on that at cops, as well as maggots and Beckett's. Maybe even the chicane, where we could see a lot of moves. My only advice is that people really do get patient, because again, it's a race of attrition, because these cars are super wide. Like, force your opponent into a mistake, force them into pressure, and then they can make a mistake and you can just slip right through.
Well, we're about 30 seconds to go to the formation lap, guys. So it'll be a rolling start, I assume, if there's a formation lap. I don't know if they're going to come to a stop. A standing start, we'll wait and see. Rolling start. So let's run through who we've got involved in this grand final for GT4. This is our GT4 class. It's Ulrich Ensslin and Charles Wilkin, who are on the front row. JC Krobler and Morgan McCall will be just behind them. And basically everybody in the field besides car 17 and 18 have gone with the Aston Martin V8 Vantage. So you've basically got a full field of Aston Martins out there. JC Krobler, Morgan McCall, Cody Sherritt and Junior McCall behind them. Fourth row is Fraser Cooper and Jurgens van Vuren. You've got Travis Fourie and Dylan Hall, Sean Back and Stephen Terblanche, Sas van der Westhuizen and Andrew Ambro. Then you've got Brent Lindsay-Ray and Ethan Jatho. Then on that, the ninth row of the grid, you've got Dylan Versaki and Johan Terblanche in the McLaren 570Ss. And then Mark van Rensburg and Donnie Miller making up the grid for our first grand final tonight of the CoCreate Solidarity E-Race, installment number 5. And, of course, we are at Silverstone. So, Brent, let's go live to Silverstone as they roll off for that and get going for our very first heat of the night. And, of course, this one is for the money. Remember, they are all fighting for a first-place prize of 4,000 Rand. And, of course, it's a joint prize fund here of 20,000 Rand that we are playing for tonight. So everybody is a little bit, I think, probably a little bit tender right now in terms of what they need to do. They don't want to go and make mistakes. There's 45 minutes of racing coming your way. You're going to hear myself, Rob Portman, and Clark King bringing you the commentary. You've got 4,000 Rand for first, 2,000 for second, 1,000 for third. We paid till 10th place tonight, gentlemen. So everybody in the top 10 will be getting some form of financial reimbursement for their efforts tonight. And then, of course, we still got another 45-minute coming on a little bit later on this evening. So we're in for a big one here. There's no doubt about it.
We are indeed, Greg, and I'm looking forward to it. You can see the cars just going side to side. It does help to keep those heat in the tires, even in the game format. This is going to be one of the prime overtaking spots, heading down that little back straight. Well, not so little back straight. It's probably about 800, 900 meters long. Try and pick up as much slipstream as you can. But again, another off-camber corner. And like Clark says, if you clip too much of the inside of curbs, you can find yourself offline, and it lines you up into the next tight left-hand hairpin. Silverstone is all about lining up corner to corner. If you make a mistake, for instance, in this left-hander you're going in now, it really does mess up your whole sector onto the back straight. So it's so crucial to line up corner and corner. If you can't afford to make one mistake, because your whole section is kind of destroyed and the driver behind you can just take advantage so easily. So very exciting. I'm really excited to see the racing around here. Silverstone has always kind of been a Formula One, more car racing kind of track. We, of course, have bike racing there as well. But prime for these big GT forecasts to go racing.
Well, let's get ready to go now as they come around and start to get into their formation, Rob. Look out for potentially coming through the field there, as I mentioned, from Fraser Cooper. Certainly going to be pushing as hard as he can to try and get up a little bit higher than what he did in terms of qualifying, down in 7th with Jurgens van Vuren alongside him. Another man to watch out for might be Stephen Tablanche, Sean back too, looking for a chance. But take nothing away from those first 4 cars. Those are guys that have already, in fact, the first 6 cars. Those are guys that have already shown their mettle in the Solidarity E-Race previous versions. And I mean, we've got a champion in our very first one at Kyalami on the front row in pole position. So I think Ulrich Enslin is definitely going to be a man to watch out for. And he'll be pushing the envelope right from the word go to open up some margins. Now, the other factor we need to take into account here, of course, is the setup of the cars is all being sorted now. They're all ready to go. But we do have to play around with options that have been set for the race. And, of course, in the rules and in the documentation that the drivers were sent, there's a possibility that weather could be a factor here as well. Clark, what do you think?
Oh, yes, that'll be incredible. Classic British weather as well. Some rain on track. That'll be interesting. And just to comment on Dylan Fasaki and Jan Terblanche, they've obviously got quite a bit of experience in the racing scene, especially in sim racing. Maybe they have a lot more experience than McLaren. Maybe they think that is the car to put in the position where they can maybe get in the top 10 position. Obviously, we're going to be looking at those top 4 cars. Enslin probably going to lead the way going into turn 1, but maybe Wilkin, maybe even Krobler can get a start, a little bit of a jump there, and get past Enslin going into Cops Corner. Just going to be super hard to get through, especially in these super wide cars if you want to do a move. And also Cooper also looking to make up places. Let's see how turn 1 goes.
Here we go, down towards turn 1. Lights out, and we're racing down towards turn 1 here at Silverstone. It's a good start there from Ulrich Enslin, and as you said, perfect timing there. JC Krobler going with him from the second row in 3rd place, trying to avoid the attentions there of the Hulk green machine of Charles Wilkin as he goes down into turn 2. Whoa, very close. Very, very close there between the two of them. Wilkin runs a bit wide, and there's another car off there too. A little bit of issues for some of the cars, not quite getting the grip into the circuit, and of course into turn 3 and 4 there. A little bit of issues that they didn't quite sort out. But it looks like Ulrich Enslin has got the drop, and Krobler's gone to second.
I think Junior McCall must be careful there. It did look like he maybe gained some position from cutting the track there. So race direction going to look into that. He's going to try and put it on the inside going into the right hander. You can see already starting to pull a couple of little gaps here through the field. Enslin is just out front, and that's exactly the start that he would have wanted. Already got a little bit of a gap on the inside, and that's just going to help his cause. Cars battling behind him, that's just going to help open up Enslin's lead here. That's exactly what he wants to do. It looks like McCall is trying to get those moves done nice and early in the purple car there, trying to make as many positions as he possibly can. Maybe he thinks he's got some pace here. Oh, JC Krobler looking on the inside there. Got to be a brave man to pass there. I wouldn't say flat out, but not too far off flat out this entire section here, and then into the hairpin for the first time. Can Krobler make something on the inside? Not going to do it there. So already formation flying, but it looks like our top 4 or 5 drivers already got a little bit more pace than the rest of the field. Certainly Enslin is already out of here.
Ulrich Enslin doing a superb job to start things out here and get away from the pack. He's going to try and control things from the front there, I'm sure. But we've seen some mix-ups there. Morgan McCall and Krobler not too far off each other's pace. And as we're on board here, you can see McCall trying to close things down there. Just up the road, that is Enslin, making his way through to complete the first lap in anger. And of course, with all the action that we've seen so far, a couple of guys didn't quite get the start that they wanted. You're going to have to keep an eye out on the progress there. Cody Sherritt has moved up just behind JC Krobler, and then you can see Van Vuren just ahead of Charles Wilkin. So Wilkin is the man who lost out the biggest there in that first lap. Looking further back in the field, you'll actually see that Hulk green machine dropped right out of it after having to take evasive action on a couple of cars that had gone wide, and he also got help off the circuit through this first part that they're heading into now.
Yeah, very fast section. This again, clipping a little bit too much inside curb there. McCall looks a little bit unsettled. Looks like he doesn't have the kind of smooth rhythm that Enslin does out front. So really pushing hard in these early stages. Remember, you've got to be careful with that tyre wear as well. Track temperature 27 degrees, so that's almost prime for these drivers. But like you said, we could have that spanner in the works of the weather coming a little bit later. Getting into the section again, McCall, Krobler, Sherritt, Van Vieren, Wilkin, like you said, the biggest loser from the start there. Just trying to see a little bit further down the McLarens. Have they made any kind of inroads? Not yet. So the Aston Martins seem like they are the car to be in. A little further down there is Junior McCall down there in 7th place. So he's trying to make some inroads. He's got Wilkin and Van Vieren just ahead of him. And going into, this is a very tricky section, left and right. Talking about lining up the corners, you really do, because you accelerate out of here onto this little short back straight. If you lose too much time going through there, it could cost you. And Clarkie, this is a very fast section that they're coming to. Yeah, this is where you really got to try and have the big lower region of your body to keep that pedal to the metal.
Yes,
Yeah,
and also
that's right.
just to comment on the first lap. The first lap heroes, Van Vieren making 3 positions, and also Lindsley Ray going from 15th to 11th. So he got an incredible start just behind Van der Westhuizen. Might get a little bit of close action. We also got, I think it's 2 cars in front there. I think it's McCall and Krobler having a little bit of a tussle at it. McCall also jumping up 2 places. He made an incredible start off the line. Obviously, we saw some cars going off of the track at Maggots and Beckett's. Probably going to be looked at the COC. But first lap, nice clean. And also, just realised they started on the grid. He's jumped up 7th position. So he got an incredible start.
So Blanche applying a bit of pressure there, trying to find his way through. You can see just how difficult it is, but having to fight it out there with Brent Lindsay Ray. As you said, Brent Lindsay Ray making up a huge amount of ground there in those first couple of laps. So definitely a man on the move and fighting hard. But there's a small mistake there from Brent Lindsay Ray, allowing Miller in. And I think Donnie Miller, as I said, having to look at different options of the cars available to them. Deciding with that slightly different machine is going to be a factor. But as they head up now, it's pretty tight stuff here. This is the mid-pack battle. We've got a little bit of a fight at the front end, but this one is a little bit more exciting at this point in time to pick up on. And in this mid-pack battle, Miller is the man to be watched, because he's slowly but surely making his way to that front end and applying the pressure onto the back end of Blanche. Brent Lindsay Ray just losing out a little bit of ground there to them. And then just behind that, you can see coming through there is Jaffa. So a little bit of fun to be had. We go back to the front. Morgan McCall in the standard option McCall colours there. He loves purple. So going with the purple and black car there. Hasn't quite made up the ground that he'd like onto the back end of Ulrich Ensslin. Ensslin controlling things from the front and doing a super job. They come across the start-finish line now, heading into Abbey. And, of course, Abbey Corner then sends them up towards the village and into the loop. So some fun and games to be had here this evening. There is no doubt about it. But right now, Rob, Ulrich Ensslin controlling things pretty decently at the front end.
Yeah, Enslin's doing exactly what he wanted to do. It's up to McCall just to keep himself in that rearview mirror of Enslin. Just applying that pressure. It's 39 minutes of this race still left. It's all about applying that pressure all the way through the field as we go on board with Travis Ferry here. So it's all about keeping that pressure on the driver ahead of you. If you can do that, force them into that mistake, that is pretty much how you're going to line up a pass. All Aston Martins except for the 2 McLarens a little bit further down. So horsepower and speed-wise, all very similar. It's all about the race tactics, lining up the turns, keeping that pressure on, trying to just make that pass stick, especially into this section here. You can run in a little bit deep here, add a little bit too much track, and that'll put you offline for this next right-hander that really closes up on you. And this is all about the drive. From mid-corner here, it's accelerate as hard as you possibly can, flat out onto this front straight and potentially line up a move. But this whole first sector's all about keeping that rhythm up. And on board here with Free in that beautiful, love that like Hulk green car. He goes down the straight. We go back up to Morgan McCall in second place here. And Clarkie, what is the strategy? I mean, it's 38 minutes still left. It's pretty much just a game of cool, feel the car, feel the conditions, and just keep yourself in the hunt. He doesn't want to lose too much time on Ensslin ahead of him.
Yep, a little bit of a battle actually going on between I think McCall, Fearon and Kuba having a little bit of a tussle. Obviously it's an endurance race, so you just have to keep calm, keep cool and collected. Don't overheat your tires too much, because obviously that will send you into a spin. Don't try and go for, I mean, it's a game, but it's a race of patience really, so you don't go for too much moves on people, and trying to use all of the track. McCall and Wilkin there, Van Vieren, sorry. Look at that, they're getting really close together, going into Vale, through Club, now onto the Formula 1 start-finish straight. McCall is still flying up ahead, but Van Vieren and I think Cooper's starting to close up on Fanfare a little bit. This is going to get really interesting. If McCall makes a mistake, it's going to be a massive mistake because Fanfare is right behind him. So if Fanfare can just slip right through, and as you said, the changing conditions that could happen in late stages in this race, maybe the last 10 minutes, could really play a part for all of these battles. One driver could completely lose out in that battle.
I have to agree with you, Clarky, because what we saw when we went to Laguna Seca, a little bit of issues with the rain, sorted out the drivers and put in a completely different scenario to what they're used to when they're running in completely dry conditions. We have no control as to what the game is actually going to do, Rob. That's the cool thing about this. And it can happen at any stage. The weather is in the hands of ACC right now. And we will keep an eye out, of course, for possibilities of rain.
That'll just really
going in about 0.4 of a second a lap quicker than anybody else out there. So certainly opening up a bit of a margin over everybody else. Morgan McCall has tried to keep him honest, Rob, but he's battling to stay with the pace there of Ulrich Ensslin.
Yeah, he is, but with 35 minutes left, he's just got to keep himself there. If he can keep himself within that 5-second bracket, that'll just keep Ensslin out front, just thinking about him. We go on board here with Cody Sherritt. There's a good little battle going on here. Krobler just ahead of him. You can see not much gains in the slipstream there. That's how evenly matched these cars are. So it's really about hitting your braking points, hitting that marker, trying to make the track as short as possible. I think that's the big fact around a long track like this at Silverstone. You don't want to be adding on a lot of track. You can see they're running a little bit wide. It's going to put a little bit more pressure on the car, on the tires. You're going to try and keep it as short. Oh, he closes right in on the back of him. You see the two different lines. He's going to square this up nicely. That should give him the drive now onto this F1 back straight. Can he get close enough? No, it looks like Krobler's car just able to keep that momentum. But Sherritt, perfect driving there. You've got to line it up almost 3 or 4 corners in advance if you're going to make a move here with the car so evenly matched.
So big battle expected here to continue between Sherritt and Wilkin. And you can see Sherritt applying the pressure, Wilkin closing in on the back end of Sherritt, and the pressure's actually on Krobler. So he's not only got the fact that he's got Cody Sherritt on his tail, but if he looks in the rearview mirror, only a couple of seconds off, in fact about 4 or 5 cars back there, you'll be spotting the Hulk green car of Charles Wilkin. So all of a sudden there's going to be a bit of a change. So speaking of change, here we go. Dive on the inside. Oh, there's contact! Cody Sherritt forces his way through. Oh, the COC's not going to be happy about that one, is he? Is he, Clark?
Oh, no, just tried to sneak up the inside. It's a classic place to try and do a move in Brooklands. Just closed up on him just too quickly there. Luckily, he's able to get moving quite quickly there and not drop down all the way down the pack. Just tightening up on him. That was tried to go for a move, just closed up on him too early there. It's quite a tight corner, Brooklands. It doesn't seem like a long corner, but it's a very long corner, and you've got to get it right if you don't want to spin out. Here's the replay, just on the back of him the whole entire Wellington straight, and he's just going to pull over to the left over here, going for a move. Oh, yeah, he also cut the track.
And banged him properly.
Yeah, that was quite a heavy hit, and luckily he doesn't smash into the Hulk smash car, or else he probably would have smashed into him as well.
He was very lucky there, Clark, actually, to get away with that, buddy, because he only lost 1 position. So Morgan McCall drops down behind Krobler and Wilkins, so only losing out that 1 position. Junior McCall, I should say. So very lucky to survive that. We'll have to wait and see how he now tries to recover. Look, the battle's not done yet. We've got another one starting to rage here as well, as Van der Westhuizen is applying the pressure there. So, Rob, even though we've got fights at the front and in 7th place, further down the pack, it's just as exciting.
Yeah, and it's just proving that it's not easy to pass. Even though they've got more room to play with here at Silverstone, it's not easy to make those passes. Everyone in the same kind of cars, except for the 2 McLarens a little bit further down there in 15th and 17th place. So the McLarens are struggling a little bit compared to the Astons. But you can see so evenly matched, and it's hard to pass when the guy in front of you is literally doing exactly what you're doing, braking where you are, getting on the gas where you are. It's so tricky, and it gets so frustrating for the likes of Sas van der Westhuizen. He'll be looking at that going, saying, well, if I could get ahead of these guys, I think I've got a little bit more pace. But to try and make passes, we saw that incident there with Sherritt. it's not as easy as it looks. So really going to have their wits about them. Here is the first of the McLarens down in 15th place there. That is your Hunter Blanche. So the McLaren's just not on the same kind of pace as the Aston Martins. And I don't know why. Clark, why would you think that the McLarens are a little bit off the Astons?
Oh, I think it's just. I think as battles start to form, obviously trying to put the pressure, maybe you'll make up a little bit of places. I mean, I think the Aston Martin car, I think it's just got it's got that extra rotation compared to the McLaren. Obviously, I'm not experienced the McLarens around Silverstone, but I thought it would be a good choice to go into the McLaren's of race pace. It's slowly starting to drop back, and I think it is that extra rotation that the Aston Martins have, and maybe the Aston Martins could run over the curbs a lot more, because I think they are. The Aston Martins are higher to the ground compared to the McLarens, because McLarens are typically super hypercars, whilst Aston Martins are like luxury sport cars. So I think that's one of the main reasons why the McLarens are just starting to struggle just that little bit. But I think as this race is, as we saw in that crash, it's quite a race of attrition, and I think Miller is just on the move. He's jumped into 9th place, so he's done a move somewhere, I think just into the Stoke corner on the Hangar Straight. Anyways, back to you.
Yeah, look, I think things are going according to plan there. Big welcome to everybody who's joined us on the various social media feeds that we've got going out tonight, on Solidarity Erace's page, on the Voice of Choice page, and on ILEB, and also going out tonight on YouTube. So a big welcome to all of our fans watching from all over the world. Just picking up on a few that have come through there: Ivan Newman and Joop de Later, Bert Walters and Greg Barnes, and Kirsten Winstanley all the way down in Cape Town. Kevin Norman has just joined us too. Clinton Versailles, also in down in Port Shepstone. And of course, a man who will be looking forward to doing some battle for his Universal Racing team, one of our partners from the previous versions of the Solidarity race. He's in the house having a look to see if he'll get involved with the next one once the Utinga Polo Cup Championship is all done. So those are just a couple of guys and girls who have joined us. A big welcome to them. I know I'm going to probably get some messages coming through from Gary van der Spey telling us what's happening on the Solidarity E-Race and who's watching us there, as well as on ILEB. So we are picking up on action here at Silverstone, courtesy of CoCreate, Pure Storage Data Sciences Corporation, and of course NEC. And it's a big welcome to all of those guests and fans who have joined us again, as we see here a little bit of maneuver from Miller.
Yeah, and Greg, see there's a 5-second penalty that's been dished out to Miller there. So not too sure what's happened there. Clarkey was saying that he made the move up into 9th place, maybe a bit too rubbing his racing there. But if he's got that 5-second penalty, we're waiting to see if anything will happen with that Sherritt and Krobler incident that we saw earlier on. But unfortunately there for Miller, 5-second penalty. We've only completed, 15 or so minutes of this race, so still 28, just over 28 minutes of racing left. So he could potentially make that 5 seconds up, and it won't hamper him too much come the end of that race. But we're going to have to find out at the end why Miller did get that 5-second penalty. But what it does tell us is that the COC are watching with a hawk eye on the race as we go on board here with car number 12, that's Stephen Tablanche. He's coming under pressure there from Ethan Jatto, so just behind him. Looks like a good little battle that's going on there between those Aston Martins, and that is for a little bit further down, 12th and 13th place. So we're going to have to watch for that. But again, look, closes up on the brake, does Ethan. But again, it's one thing closing and getting onto the back of the car. To make these moves, it's looking very difficult, although he should be inside there. And it's Tablanche just chops the nose, trying every which way he can. This is pretty much like go-kart racing, like you were doing earlier today. Hey?
Yeah, and he's very wide. Wow, going into Abbey Corner, and also Ambro's been given a 15 time penalty, so maybe he's exceeded track limits. And I think the reason why Miller might have gotten that 5-second penalty, I think he might have illegally done the move, because obviously Stowe is such a tight corner. You typically run very, very wide into Stowe, so maybe he's been given a penalty for that. And there we go, an example. Just slipping through, a mistake by Fourie, just under pressure, just that 1 inch wide I was talking about just before the race, and you can just completely mess up your whole corner. And it's Abbey Corner, so it's not much room to play with that Abbey Corner. It's quite a tight corner, so There we go. Toe Blanche gets the move. It's just applying that pressure.
Well, we have asked to get clarification on the 2 penalties there from Batis Hugo, our COC and the steward team behind the scenes from Raceface. He's going to give us a little indication as soon as he can get it done. He's probably chatting to both those drivers and explaining to them what they've done wrong. That's the cool thing about e-racing, Rob, is you have instantaneous communication to your drivers when there are problems on track, and if they are misbehaving, you can literally get hold of them, as opposed to what we have to do in the real world. Cody Sherritt with a penalty as well, by the looks of things. So I think there's a couple of guys who may be exceeding the track limits, or you know what we saw in that warm-up session, Rob? On that warm-up lap, a couple of guys were cutting the final corner and going on the inside to try and sort of make it as tight and easy as possible. And if that's the case, exceeding track limits or using more track than is what is allowed, and in normal racing terms, we both know, you race between the 2 white lines. So you may not go and exceed those track limits, and if that's the case, that's possibly what those penalties have been allocated towards. For the 3 drivers, you'll see on your screen on the left-hand side, down the right of that timing monitor is a little red square, and it'll tell you how many seconds they've been given, and we'll try and find out exactly what those ramifications are, first of all, for them. They're not going to be too much of an issue right now. It only comes into play a bit later on when we do the final checks and times. But it is a big concern to have time penalties when you've got a 45-minute endurance race.
Yeah, we're on board here with Van der Westhuizen, and you can see ahead of him Miller getting a little bit wide. You can see a couple of drivers now starting to make mistakes, and not even halfway through this race just yet. And already those cars looking very heavy to handle. So maybe some tire wear coming into play already. Maybe just a little bit of endurance, because it's a long time in the saddle of these cars and trying to get them. But you see on the inside there, Van der Westhuizen cutting the inside of that corner a lot. So we're going to have to get clarification on what is considered cutting the track and what is not. I think it's also how much time you actually spend on that green part outside the track. And here, especially coming onto the front straight, like cutting the inside there, that could be frowned upon, because I don't really see any real need to cut that. You've got more than enough track to play with there. So we're going to have to look at, Miller gets a little bit sideways coming out of turn 1 there. Keeps it a lot more neater, does the man we're on board here with Van der Westhuizen. So there's some very, very out of shape cars on track there as well. This is a section that's so odd. You can see again Van der Westhuizen cutting that inside curb. So I wonder if that's what the race stewards are looking at. He certainly closes right onto the back end here of Miller. But these drivers are going to have to be very careful, especially now that these cars are getting a little bit more out of shape. It's not as easy to keep them on the black stuff.
Pushing it now and looking for opportunities. That's what it's all about. And as we get into the thick of it, you're going to see that I see lights on some of the cars as well. So it looks like it's getting a little bit darker in Silverstone right now. I wonder if there's a possibility of weather coming in there. Look at the clouds in the background. There's a great shot that Brendan from EFX has given us here. A little bit of cloud cover coming in there. So I wonder if we're going to have an opportunity to see how the weather factor could come into play here. We did say that would be an issue. One thing that you're going to have to take into account, of course, with the weather coming into play, is possibilities of pit stops, and will they need to go and make pit stops to change tires to wet weather tires if there is a lot of rain. If it's just a little bit of drizzle, they may be able to stay out there and try and sort of nurse the cars in treacherous conditions, but it would be ideal to possibly go and get those change of tires done. Wilkins starting to close onto the back end there, and as you can see, Jordan Sherritt is now Jordan Sherritt, just going to be Cody Sherritt, I beg your pardon. Jordan will be on with us a bit later on. Cody Sherritt pushing hard now to try and stay ahead of the multiple SA champion behind us, and of course a big contender in every single one of our e-race races that we've done so far has been Charles Wilkin.
Yeah, Wilkin has always been seriously fast behind any kind of steering wheel that he gets behind, and he's doing it once again. Yeah, I wonder if he'll know that there's a 5-second penalty there for Sherritt. So if he doesn't necessarily have to make the pass on Sherritt to beat him overall. He's just got to keep himself within that 5-second bracket there, and he's doing that to perfection at the moment. They're in 4th place. Enslin out front. I don't want to say he's under pressure from McCall there in 2nd place, but that gap is not too comfortable. He can't rest too much on his laurels here. We go further down with the first of the McLarens here, Johan de Blanche in 15th place. He's got Ambrose just behind him. Ambrose got that 15-second penalty. So I'm not too sure what he did to get a 15-second penalty with everyone else got a 5-second penalty. But coming on to the front straight across the line, 22 minutes still remaining, 2:30 in the afternoon there in the beautiful Silverstone in the UK. Track temperature still 27 degrees, air temperature 21. So a little bit of cloud cover there, but it hasn't affected the track conditions too much. Look at the speed of the Aston Martin compared to the McLaren. I think that is why everyone is in the Aston Martins.
I think, yeah, I agree with you there. Ambrose just closing up onto Blanche. It's going to be interesting going on to the hangar straight, because obviously you said he's got a massive speed advantage, and there you see, he's on the grass. He's cutting the grass there. That's going to probably be looked at, but Ambrose just can't make the stick there, but he's going to go down the inside. And I think everyone just let him through there because he went quite wide. Maybe a little bit of a mistake, but good move by Amber to do a move at Stoke Corner. He is into the 15th place now, so he's racing quite well. He's gone quite deep into the chicane. Obviously, you want to really clip that inside apex on these cars because it's not much of a curve on the inside of that Vale, so it's not much of a curve compared to the F1 cars, which they can't really hit that curve because it's really high. But McCall slowly catching Enslin. Ensign just losing a little bit of time. Obviously, consistency is going to be a massive key going into these final parts of this race.
No, no doubt about it there. I have to agree with you. But look at the gap that's come down, Rob, between the top two. Ulrich Ensign may have made a mistake somewhere on track as well. It's pretty simple to do. You know, with an E-race, it makes it a little bit more difficult for these guys to recoup and try and recover. They can't just hit the reset button, because if they do that, they end up back in the pit lane. So if you do make a mistake on track, you can see it's probably about half a second he's made up there on that last lap. So slowly but surely closing in on the back end of Ulrich Enslin.
This is exactly what McCall needs to do, because he just needs to keep that purple car, and it is a purple car, you can't miss it, in the rearview mirror of Enslin. Because Enslin, in a long race like this, you want to keep him looking in the rearview mirror. You want to keep him on his toes. As soon as he gets comfortable, which he did in the early part, you could see he just checked out. Now that he can see that purple shadow just getting ever closer, it's going to put pressure on him. Then he's going to start trying to brake a little bit later, cut the corners a little bit more, get on the gas a bit earlier. It's going to just start pushing that envelope like more and more through every single corner, and there's a lot of corners around the Silverstone track. So at the moment, Morgan McCall doing the perfect job at just shadowing your leader Enslin and putting that pressure on further down. This is the battle for the final podium position. Wilkins sitting in 4th place there at the moment, but Sherritt just ahead of him in 3rd place. 5-second penalty, and that's a lot less than 5 seconds. So at the moment, if the checkered flag came out now, it would be Wilkins picking up that final podium position. So I don't know what kind of communication Wilkins getting, but if he knows that 5-second penalty is there, there's no need to try and engage in a battle with Sherritt. We know that Sherritt is not afraid to get those fisticuffs out. Oh, he runs a little bit wide there. That's going to cost him time. And can Holt make a move down the straight here? But Clark, in this kind of situation, does Wilkins just sit back and allow Sherritt to do that, knowing he's got the penalty, or does he try and engage and try and make the move, especially if he knows he's got extra pace over Sherritt?
I think Wilkins, what he wants to do is, I think he wants to just, I think Wilkins trying to close in, because I think Sherritt, if Wilkins falls back, Sherritt's gonna feel a bit more confident, and obviously a 5-second penalty is gonna affect him a lot. He might even drop down to 5th place if this battle continues for the remainder of the race. This is gonna be an interesting battle. Whoever, maybe even Wilkins wants to win the battle on track, just to put that in. Oh, it's going to be a really interesting battle. The Hulk car and that nice British red, blue and white car. And now Wilkins closing up ever so slightly, going into the chicane. Good clipping the apex there. Going into the next corner, going to go around the club corner now. Onto the Formula 1 straight. Is Wilkins just too far behind to just catch him? You can see the split string not really come into play there. Obviously, Look at that, just trying to keep consistent, doesn't want to lose his head. And I think he's ran a little bit wider than Wilkin there, and Wilkin has touched up that a little bit there as well.
I'll tell you something. There's a big battle expected here, guys. So beware that there is going to be some fun and games happening over the next couple of laps. I know there's still a long way to go. We've probably got about 16 or so minutes to go, but definitely some battles to be had here. There is no doubt. And look at the one that we're picking up on right now. So Blanche has been at this for a couple of laps now, has not found a way through. Sas van der Westhuizen keeping him honest, and just behind him, Travis Free, slowly but surely starting to close in.
Yeah, this is, ooh, I thought he was going to fake the inside. Yeah, you see, he's forced to move there. He kind of showed him a go. Oh, that is close contact there to Blanche, right on the tailpipes there of Van der Westhuizen. He showed him like a fake little line. That forced Van der Westhuizen just to pick the car up offline, and to Blanche try to make that move on the inside. Good thing he backed out of that, because both those cars would have got caught up there, and both probably would have spun out. That would have cost them valuable track position. It's good little dice. They've got a little bit of a buffer over the next man behind them. That is a Travis Free, just behind them there. This is the battle for that final top 10 position. Miller's got that 5-second penalty just ahead of them, but to Blanche, we've seen him all race long so far. 16 minutes to go. Can he try and make that move? You can see he's trying everything he possibly can. This is when the racecraft's going to start coming in. No need to panic just yet. Still 16 minutes. Oh, another mistake there from Van der Westhuizen. So Van der Westhuizen looking very out of shape here, and to Blanche will be looking at that, thinking, well, I need to get past this guy, but how do I get past a car that's kind of out of shape and all over the place? He's going to have to try and plan this out. Can he get the drive here onto the back straight? They go side by side here. Slipstream, it's going to be a drag race now into the right-hander. Who's got the horsepower? Aston Martin versus Aston Martin. But it did look like to Blanche got the slightly better drive there, but still can't make that move. It's going to be difficult on the brake shop. Perfect time to go on board in the right-hander. Oh, they're going to touch a little bit. That's how you do it in karting. Just give him a little tap, force him wide, and make the move.
Oh, wow, what a move. Just little bump, as he said. That's what we do in karting. Just let them know that we're there. Just a little bump, force them wide, and you can just slip through. And he's now losing all of the grip now. Now he's got all that pressure trying to push back, and now he just can't. He's got that pressure. He wants that place, but now he's just starting to fall back ever so slightly. He went very sideways, and now Wilkin and Sherritt still going at it, going into the last 10 minutes of this race. Wilkin just trying to close up on Sherritt ever so slightly. I think the gap was slightly increased. Obviously, we've not been checking on the action or whatever. Good move by Blanche there to get past Van der Westhuizen. That was a really good move going into Stoke Corner.
Lots of action still to come, guys. Lots of action still to come. We're looking at, what are we looking at? About 14 or so minutes to go. So expect to see a little bit of change in strategy now from Charles Wilkin and other competitors that are looking for opportunities for wins here tonight. Remember, there's 4,000 Rand up for grabs as your first prize. So we're looking forward to seeing whether or not Charles Wilkin can do anything about the man in front of him. Sherritt's opened up a little bit of a margin though. So Wilkin made a slight mistake there on that last pass. It could be a costly one, because at this stage you cannot afford to make any mistakes like that. Clocky, you were talking about karting and giving each other a little bit of a bump, but you guys are going to be very careful that you don't get any nose cone infringements. The one thing that these guys are going to be concerned about, of course, which we haven't really spoken about, but is a big factor in sim racing, is if you do tap the car in front of you, just because it's a computerized game or a simulator of a normal race, damage comes to these cars. And the damage can be very, very vital or potentially deadly. It can actually cause you to slow down completely and possibly not finish the race. So that's another factor that we need to keep an eye on for the end of this one and into the next one for our GT3 cars.
Oh, yes, obviously damage is going to come to play. That's why people are trying to just another factor there, as you said, damage is coming into play massively, and that's why you want to be patient with these GT4 cars. Try not to make stupid moves. but obviously everyone's been keeping away from those moves. Sheraton and Wilkin still going at it, as well as McCall trying to close up on Ensign ever so slightly. I think the gap has stayed the same for the past couple of minutes. Damages. I think that accident beforehand we saw that crash. I don't think they've given a penalty to anyone. So I think that crash was just a racing incident. Just to clarify.
Yeah, there's been no penalty given. 100% there. Well spotted on that one, Clarky. The only penalties that are currently pending are the one for Shirt, the one for Miller, and the one for Ambrose. So those are the guys that are going to be getting those penalties at the end of the race. They time penalties, so it could potentially change up where they finish. What Cody Shirt has to try and do now is try and get away from Charles Wilkin to the tune of, 15 seconds? He's got a 5 seconds. Sorry, my screen is very small, so I can't see the actual denomination of that penalty. 5 second penalty there that Cody Sherritt's got to try and avoid. And look at how close it's getting at the front, Rob. We've got 11.5 minutes to go, and McCall is now within striking distance of that car in front of Ensslin.
Yeah, Morgan McCall's kind of driven the perfect race till now. He's kept his nose clean. He didn't make any mistakes. He didn't get flustered when he saw Ensslin just extending that lead at the beginning of the race. Now coming into the latter stages, 11 just getting into the 10-minute barrier now. He's right on the tailpipes of Ensslin, so Enslin's going to be seeing that car. And this is the battle for third place as well. Wilkin right in the mix. They're staying on the tailpipes of Sheridan. It looks like, isn't quite, he can close that gap, almost like a seesaw. Wilkin's got the upper hand in the second part of the track, but certainly Cody Sherritt's got the faster pace at the beginning of the track. So two little different sets of driving here, but at the moment, Wilkin, he doesn't need to do any more than this. He can finish right there. I know Clark, he said, sometimes it doesn't even matter about that penalty. You just want to beat the guy on track. But there comes massive risk with trying to take that chance. And at the moment, Wilkin doesn't really need to take that chance. He can take that third place and the prize money that comes with it. And that's exactly what he needs to do. You can see Sherritt's doing everything he can because he knows he's got that 5 second penalty. And if he wants to hang on to that final podium position, he's got to try and put the hammer down and extend that gap over Wilkin. But out front, Morgan McCall at the moment looking very good value for money. He's put the pressure on and it's just getting Ensslin to think and question himself with every passing corner. So this race is far from done and dusted at the moment.
Wilkin sitting at 1.8 slow in the first sector, so he's losing ground there in that first sector, but he makes it up in the second and the third sectors of the circuit, Rob. So you were spot on in terms of your observations there, Rob. I think what we're going to see here is Wilkin trying to use where he is quicker to close and pass on Sherritt. He will also know, having to look at how the timing monitor looks inside the cockpit while he's driving, that there is potentially some issues there for Sherritt in terms of that time bar that will be given to him. So what Charles Wilkin would be clever to do here, and I'm going to go to Clark on this one, is apply the pressure, but don't actually make the pass. See if you can force a mistake out of Jordan Sherritt, out of Cody Sherritt.
Yes, that's actually really smart to do. As Rob Coleman said, there's a lot of risk of trying to do the overtake on track, and you don't want to risk damage and fall back even more. So just force them into a mistake, but just stay so far behind, so you don't have to. Well, you're not forced into a move. And I think Corbett and McCall are going at it as well, because I saw them on the map quite close together, as well as McCall and Ensslin. So a lot of battles between the top six as. Action all around the track, so that's really interesting to see top six battling. McCall closing up on Ensslin just ever so slightly, going into Brooklyn's corner. He's gone way closer to Ensslin in the eighth. This race is almost finished. Remember, it's 2 minutes per lap here, about 2 minutes and 10 seconds. So by the time they finish this lap, it'll be 6 minutes, and by the time they finish next lap, it'll be 4 minutes. So this race actually does finish quite quickly. Obviously, it's been really long race endurance. These guys have done really well to stay awake. Obviously, been drinking some coffee or some caffeine just to stay awake and not making mistakes. So they're doing really well to keep it on track. Now McCall just closing up ever so slightly onto Ensslin. Let's see how this battle forms.
Yeah, I'm just trying to sort out my camera here at the same time. It's giving me a howl, but absolutely amazing stuff from our director, who's also apparently having a bit of coffee there with the boss man from Solidarity Erace as they watch the closing stages here. 7.5 minutes to go. And whether we're going to be seeing Ulrich Ensslin or Morgan McCall at the front end after this, we'll have to wait and see. There is definitely some... I'm having issues here properly with this camera falling off the stand it's on, but we'll keep going and keep up the... Rob, watch out for the action now between Morgan McCall. Look how tight it is now. He is right there with Ulrich Ensslin.
Yeah, McCall's doing exactly what he needs to do here. This has almost been a perfect exhibition on how to do an endurance race. Don't get flustered at the beginning. Don't worry about that. It's about the last couple of minutes. And with 6 minutes and 50 seconds remaining, about 2 or 3 laps around this long Silverstone track. So he's in prime position here to strike. Although we've seen it all the way through the field. There's been battles all the way through the field. It's one thing closing that gap. It's trying to make that move stick. So that's going to be Morgan McCall's biggest challenge. Ensslin, it will just close those lines. He's still driving the nice wide sweeping lines, getting the drive. Still looking very smooth, is Ensslin out front. He's not making mistakes. It looks like there's a pass on the inside. Yeah, Ambro, does he make the move stick on Bradley Lindsay-Ray? Yes, he does. So a little change up there for 15th and 14th place. Is that battle with Lindsay-Ray? Yes, it is. Ambro's made the move. 15-second penalty, though, that he's got. So it's a real big pity there because it looks like he's got a good turn of pace here at the moment. Just a little bit further down as we go back to the front end of this field. Again, Ensslin looks like he's got the drive there. It looks like he's able to pull a couple of tenths coming onto the front straight here. And 5 minutes and 50 seconds remaining. About 2 or 3 laps still in this race. McCall, he's pushing hard and he's able to close that gap. But he hasn't been close enough yet to just try and see and try and fake a move and try and see where he's going to be able to put it on the inside or go around the outside. So at the moment, this race is still in the hands of Ensslin at the front end. It's going to be all about where McCall can make that move. And Clarky, you know, being at the kart track today, it's not as easy as it looks. You've got to try and line that move up. But around Silverstone, especially here in the fast section, if he can just get that drive, get into the slipstream. We saw that move earlier done by Blanche. Just give him a little tap. Let him know he's there and potentially put it on the inside.
Oh, this definitely karting. You have to be really patient. You have to place your car in that correct spot. Just try not to go for the dive one or go for a move from very far back. He's applying the pressure onto Ensslin. Ensslin obviously been leading this race from start to finish. It's almost like a dominant performance, but we're calling that you can't unsee it. The purple car just trying to fight with Ensslin. Enslin's pulling away just ever so slightly going onto the back straight. Going through Abbey and through Farm. Let's see if McCall can do a move. Maybe Ensslin will drift a little bit out wide and McCall can just slip through. We're going to need to wait and see. McCall breaks way later than Ensslin, trying to go around the outside, having a little bit of a look, going into the loop now, going to go onto the aim tree. Not the move's not been stuck yet, but going onto the hanger straight. I think McCall's gotten the better exit out of Ensslin. Ensslin is being is he going to be forced into a second? You can see Ensslin just trying to go defensive and McCall trying to get in his split string. The little split string that these cars have. McCall just breaking way later than Ensslin. This is really close. Going on to the final 3 minutes. There's about one or two laps left of this race. Can McCall make the move? He's hooking that inside curve, going through Lufton, going now through Woodcote and onto the main straight to dive into Cobb's corner. McCall, he's got to make a move. He's got to make a move soon, but I don't think he wants to. He's just applying that pressure to Ensslin. Enslin's going to feel a lot of pressure. He's probably shaking a lot in that sim racing cockpit. Both of them are going through Cobb. That's really interesting, but McCall going around the outside, going into Maggots. Will he be able to make the move? They bounce each other, and I think he's wide. They're both fourth, and McCall just a little bit of bumping there. The COC might have to look at that, and McCall has dropped down. He's gone in front of Ensslin. Ensslin, he's still on the back of him, going down the hanger straight. All this, just trying to follow that split string. McCall just forcing him to weave around. Obviously, Ensslin moving twice. McCall going to try and go around the outside. Of course, this is a very interesting last couple of laps. Wow, that was a little bit crazy going into Maggots and Beckett's there.
Well, Morgan McCall, we knew that he had to get those those fists out if he was going to make the move on Ensslin, and that is exactly what he did. So for the first time in this race, Ensslin is not out front. He's dropped down to second place. Here we go on the inside. Wilkin, is he going to make the move? Ooh, he backed out of that, and I think that was a smart move, because had he tried to commit to that, Sherritt would have chopped right across his nose, and that potential podium could have been thrown out the window. So much for Wilkin just settling for fourth on track and third overall with that penalty that Sherritt's got. Looks like he's trying to attack the man, heading into the final 2 minutes of this race. So we've got a battle for first and second. Ensslin is not giving this up. Ensslin wants a little bit of redemption. Yeah, he's putting it on the inside. Looks like McCall runs a little bit wide. That's going to give Ensslin the drive. Look how close he's glued to the back end. This is going to be Slipstream City. This is where we saw the move earlier on, that fisticuff that was between Sherritt and a little bit further down. Oh, that is light breaking on the inside. Does he get it? What a move there from Ensslin, who gets himself back into the lead. Here comes McCall. Oh, they touch. That was definitely a touch there. McCall tried to bring it back, tried to do the switchback and put it on the inside. And Ensslin, he's a wily old fox, Ensslin. He just tapped the brake there. Classic old block pass. Put that big Aston Martin, he's right where McCall wanted to be. And it's going to be a drag race. 1 minute and 26 seconds left across the line. This could very well be.
Unbelievable action here into the last part of this 45-minute endurance. This is exactly what we expected from the CoCreate Solidarity E-Race. It's what we've seen at every single one that we've had. Look at those guys cutting the inside curve there. That's JC Krobler now. JC Krobler with a bit of pressure coming from Furen in the closing stages. So, yeah, Rob, you're spot on. Could possibly be the last lap that they're on right now, with 59 seconds of action still to come our way. And as they come flying through and onto the back straight away, you can also pick up on the action just in the back there with Cody Sherritt under pressure big time from Charles Wilkin. But the biggest pressure of the lot is coming from McCall. The 4 car is all over the number 1 man. He was on pole position. He set the pace in the super qualifiers. He's shown what he's got, and he's, of course, won a Solidarity race before already. Can he do it again here? No, Morgan McCall's going to have a go. Look at this. Around the outside, watch him cut the apex to come through into this little tricky section. This is where they touched on the previous lap. And as they come to the line now, who's going to have what it takes? Is there going to be one more lap? I think there is, because there's still 21 seconds to go. So we're going to have another lap before we get this one done and dusted.
Yeah, they come across the old Formula 1 straight there. So second part of the track remaining here. Ensslin still going very defensive, forcing McCall to the outside line. McCall trying to get it done there, but there's just not enough room. You can see Ensslin holding that. He's going to go right to the left. Yeah, close that line. You could see McCall was trying to line up that move, and Ensslin closes it, but McCall fakes him the dummy. What a move there! He just faked him on the inside, forced Ensslin to go 35. Oh, touching again there down this little short straight for the final time. Can Ensslin fight back here? Well, Clarkie, this is going to go down to the wire. There's only a couple of corners left.
Oh my word, this is insane racing the last couple of laps, and I think the race is finished, and I think the race winner is going to go to none other than the second-time winner of the Solidarity E-Race, Ensslin. Just, oh, what a move going into that corner. What an amazing lap. That was an incredible race towards the final 5 laps there.
Well, you can see there, that was an incredible finish to that race, of course, and a little change up on the angles here, Brendan, as you can see. Apologies for that, but my camera died completely, so I'm hoping I can get it right for you. It's not working 100%, as you can see. I'll get the best I can. So there we go. That's probably about as good as we're going to get it for now. But anyway, an incredible race there, Rob. My camera died on me halfway through, so I had to make a really big modification, so apologies for that. I think if I just tilt it slightly more, we should be good to go. Oh, do that, sorry. My bad. There we go. All right, that's too much. See, this is live. This is what happens on live. It can get out of hand. It can get completely wrong. Rob Portman, that was an incredible final lap. I've got to say, we kind of expected a big one in the GD4s with those big cars, majority of them Aston Martins. They definitely had the pace. So the guys who chose the McLarens unfortunately went with the wrong choice. But what a way to finish up the first grand final this evening. 2 guys battling for first and second, 2 guys battling for third and fourth, 2 guys battling for 12th and 13th place on track, and literally all race long. That's exactly what we saw. Little battles, little niggles, little bit of fight, little bit of bumping and barging, and of course waiting for the official results now. The possibility is that Ulrich Ensslin could have taken it and taken his second Solidarity E-Race.
That was incredible racing. The Aston Martins a little bit more downforce, a little bit more solid out on track compared to the McLaren, so they didn't really stand a chance. But Ensslin got out early from the start, got out front, and you kind of thought he's going to breeze to a victory here. McCall played that patient, mature game, came through, and when it counted right at the end, put on a proper battle there. We're going to have to wait and see the final results there. But that move that McCall pulled on, just faking to the inside, forcing Ensign to go defensive, which forced him obviously to run wide because he had that tight line. And McCall taking full advantage of that. That was good drive. After 45 minutes of racing action, to see those little battles that we had all the way down there with Wilkin and Sherritt as well. We saw McCall, we saw Cooper, a little bit of a lonely race there. But to Blanche, Van der Westhuizen, and they were in big battles as well. So 45 minutes of incredible racing action around Silverstone track there. I think that leads us perfectly into the GT3s coming up later. And if you think that racing action was good and barbaric in many parts of that race, wait until you see GT3 cars around Brands Hatch. Yes.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing, Rob, I've got to say, because, I mean, we had 20 cars at Silverstone. We should have gone the other way around. We should have put the 40 cars on Silverstone and the 20 on Brands Hatch. But needless to say, that's what we've gone with. So we'll play around and see what's going to happen. Before we go to Brands Hatch, though, I believe that our headline sponsor, CoCreate, has now got their marketing man coming to join us again. A big welcome to Stephen Kramer. Steve, I'm sure you enjoyed all that action as much as we did. It certainly kept us on the edge of our seats, and I'm hoping that what we've done with CoCreate and the Solidarity Erace is exactly what you expected.
Absolutely. It's actually been fantastic, guys. I really enjoyed it. It's almost as exciting as being there. The only difference is you can't feel the vibration and smell that petrol, but absolutely was a fantastic race.
Steve, so far we've been through a week. It's been a little bit of a trying week. We've seen some guys enjoying the new format. We've seen some guys that have come back to us and said we like the old format.
Can't hear him too well.
We've tried bits and pieces as well with how things have gone with, of course, every single e-race that we've done. We've done a slightly different version of the normal way of sim racing that happens all around the world. But from your side and CoCreate side, and of course Fujitsu side, are you happy with the coverage and happy with what we've done with this fifth installment?
Absolutely. I think from our perspective, it's been great to be part of this. Obviously, we need to keep in mind the benefactors of this, and it really has been great. I've really enjoyed myself. Like I said, a little bit old school in respect of the good old games, when you had a steering wheel and a proper accelerator and that type of stuff. I can't... don't have the code for the small little PS2 type things or the PC type controls, but I must admit I really actually enjoyed it. It was really great fun. I think from a CoCreate perspective and VMware, our other co-sponsor, it's really been a great race and a great week of racing. I've even watched some of the qualifying, so it's really been good.
Oh, it's fantastic to hear. I think what we need to do, though, is we need to maybe get you into one of those rigs that these guys are using. I know I'm also old school. I've kind of come from the PS2 version where you've got the little sort of handheld console in your hand. I did have a Logitech steering wheel and brake and pedal setup that I could do and put onto my desk. But if you see what these guys are using, and we'll probably get a chance to see some of them a bit later on when we interview our top three in each of these heats. But I think you'll be pretty amazed at how the technology has gone to probably way above what most people think these guys are sitting behind just a PC or behind their PlayStation or behind whatever they're using. Some of them have got force feedback steering wheels. They've got actual racing pedals as opposed to pedals that they would buy from a sim supplier. A lot of them have gone and done their homework in terms of getting their car setups right. And when I talk about that, the car setups can be done via the Motec systems that run in actual race cars. So there's a huge amount of technology, and of course that's why a company like yourself wants to get behind this type of event.
Absolutely. You know what? We may not be in the gaming space, but from a technology perspective, we certainly are. And it is amazing to hear what you've got to say because, like I said, I'm used to the old school little steering wheel and the pedal and just listening to what you say with the force feedback, with everything else. And probably the most important thing is understanding the cars and the technology within the car to set it up correctly for the specific track we even raced at Brands Hatch.
Exactly, and that's where we're headed to right now. Stephen Kramer, thank you so much once again for joining us here this evening. We're not going to keep you too long. We'll get you a chance to get back into your spectator seat for our second grand final of the evening. So a massive thanks again to CoCreate and your whole team for being behind this and, of course, joining our associate sponsors there. One of your partners, of course, being involved in that one. We do appreciate the support, and we look forward to more of the same as we head into a possibility of some more e-races coming up in the very near future. Solidarity e-race is not done and dusted after tonight. There are already plans in place for a whole bunch of exciting events happening in the very near future. But we're now going to move on. Clark, I'm coming back to you. We are now going from GT4 cars to GT3 cars. Slightly different format, of course, of racing, and a completely different circuit to go and play at now.
Yeah, it's going to be incredible. 40 GT3 cars, as you said, should flip to the other way around. Silverstone with those 40 GT3 cars and GT4s going around Brands Hatch. But it's going to be a really interesting race. I mean, turn one's probably going to be chaotic. I'll be super impressed with a lot of the drive if everyone goes through, because that's 40 cars around that track. I'm pretty sure some of the cars are going to be blocked up at the Clark curve. I think that's how much GT3 cars are going to race today. So turn one hopefully going to be clean throughout the whole race. As we saw, that GT4 race was incredible. Can GT3 make it even more interesting? I mean, the track's even more interesting with the tighter, longer, more bumpier curbs and a track that really punishes you if you go wide onto the curb or into the gravel. So it will be a really fun and an interesting race from the sim racers and the spectators' point of view.
Certainly will be, boy, that's for sure. Now we move on, Rob, to, of course, Brands Hatch. 40 cars about to go to battle out there. In those 40 cars, oh no, as I go to my 40 cars, I've just lost my attachment, so I want to go back to the attachment that I had there. The 40 cars that are going to go to battle right now are certainly some big names in the e-racing and the sim racing world. Jordan Sherritt, Bruno Cadile, Arno Fasaki, and have a look at number 4. You and I were at Red Star Raceway only 2 weekends ago, and there's a certain gentleman in car number 4 that won the Formula 1600cc race that happened there at Red Star Raceway in their invitational round of their championship for this season. Andrew Rackstraw, all the way from Cape Town, is a big factor thrown into our gamers at the front end, with Jordan Sherritt being a gamer and ex-production car and karting champion here in South Africa. Andrew Rackstraw is certainly a man who knows what to do in a single-seater. Whether he's got the same ability now, Rob, in a big V8 Vantage is something we're going to have to keep an eye out on.
It's not only the car that he's in, it's the racetrack that these 40 cars are about to go race around. Are you sure you can even get 40 big supercars around that Brands Hatch track?
We're about to see that, Rob, that's for sure.
Yeah, we are about to find out, and the likes of Rackstraw are really going to have their wits about them. I promise you, we saw how difficult it was now in the GT4 category around a very wide, fast and flowing Silverstone track. They don't have that much tar to play with now at Brands Hatch. They don't have that many passing opportunities to play with now. So it's very much a case of whoever's patient, whoever gets the start, whoever doesn't make one little mistake could potentially come out the big victor in this class. So 40 cars, that literally lines up from the start finish all the way around, I think, 40 cars around Brands Hatch.
Yeah, if they get it right, it literally goes down the Bram Straight, back into Clark Curve, and probably into to Sterling's and Clearways. So there's going to be a lot of cars coming around there. It'll kind of be like at the International at Swartkops, where you've got 45, 50 cars participating in their TT. So let's have a look at that. But let's carry on further down the grid. 5th place is Jason Absmeyer, of course, a big contender in the world of sim racing, and has not shone yet in a Solidarity E-race. He's had he's been plagued with bad luck. So we're hoping that that's going to change this evening. Blake Kruger, also a big contender. Leslie Oliphant, a top runner at the one in at Laguna Seca, and of course down under when we went to the Bathurst track. So certainly a man who knows what to do. Marcus Steyn in 8th place, and then in 9th place, another Formula 1600cc competitor who's joined us in the e-racing world in Tristan Nobriga. So there is a lot of pressure. And what we've seen with the e-racing, what we've tried to do as well, Rob, as you would have seen from the events that you've been involved in, and Clark, over the last couple that you've been involved in, we tried to get the mix as good as possible and as close as possible to the e-races versus the real races. And we've got a really nice spread here. Looks like confirmation coming through there. Yeah, I've got confirmation of the result of the previous one. Morgan McCall beat Ulrich Enslin. Charles Wilkin beat Cody Sherritt. Junior McCall beat out Krobler. Van Vuren, Cooper, Miller, and Tablanche, your top 10. We'll get those, of course, up as we get into the heat properly. But, Brent, if I can just go back to that graphic again, just to run through the end of the top 20, because there's a couple of other names that we need to bring into account as well. Look at 11th place, Johan Krobler's back with us again. Bernard Barkhuizen, we haven't seen just yet. Corne Strauss, Stefan Fenter, Mornay Duploy, all the way from East London. Eli Vergara has joined us again. Richard Van Coller, Stephen Duplessis. You've got Bernard King in there. Is that a relation there, Clark King? And then Roland Childs in 20th. '21st place, William Wentworth, Neil van Janssen van Rensburg, Noah Hendricks has been involved with us in a couple of times, Jason Null and Graham Moll. Sean Hards, good to have him here again. He's gone with the Bentley Continental, so that's a slightly different vehicle that he's decided to play with. They had the option of the McLaren 720S, the Aston Martin V8 Vantage, or the Bentley Continental. And there you can see one of the guys choosing that Bentley Continental, a couple of them on that list. Richard Clark, you've got Oitman Buerta, Vanon Kassop, Jason Gray, Andrew Hildebrand, Devin Leisha, a bit further down than what he'd like to be, I'm sure, but watch out for him coming through there. Dean Paul Pratt, Ryan. Is that Ryan Ottens that we know, Mr. Portman? I think it may be. Rob, I believe, is frozen up, but it could be one of the ex-South African Superbike champions who has come and joined us as well, just ahead of Richard Herring, Matt Densham. It's Clint Riddell, Jason van Rooyen, and Brian Lewis at the back. So going back to you, Clarkie, looking at the circuit, we've got, of course, the famous Brands Hatch circuit. As you said, turn 1 is Paddock Hill Bend. 40 cars into Paddock Hill, and then down the Hellwood Hill into Druids is going to be a little bit chaotic. But what we saw this weekend at the Endurance Series, the South African Endurance Series at the Desi 500, the first 5 corners of the 4-hour endurance race were under double yellows. So they only got racing once they got into turn 6. Here tonight, we're not going to have that. We're going to have 40 cars going into Paddock Hill Bend and trying to survive and get through for the 45-minute endurance.
Yeah, there's some big names here like Graham Moe, Jason Now, Leslie Oliphant. So they've got experience with the Solidarity E-Race along with some real life drivers. So maybe some of I think the main track that they've been practicing around is Brands Hatch, because obviously it's such a tight corner, such a bumpy corner, and that first corner is going to be incredibly hard to get through with all of these cars. So if you're going 3-1 to that first corner, there's surely going to be some contact and somebody going into the barrier on the wide part of the track. So it's going to be incredibly scary for a lot of the drivers, because they've got to hold on for dear life for sure. Going into Paddock Hill Bend and Haywood's Hill and Drayton and Graham Hill Bend, all those corners are so the first sector of Brands Hatch is so tight, and it's so challenging for everyone to get around, especially Drayton, because it's just slow, long right hand, and if you go wide, you're onto the grass, and then you're basically being sucked into that grass. So it will be interesting to see how clean it's going to be through turn 1. I'll be super surprised, as I said earlier, if everyone gets through cleanly.
Yeah, indeed. Rob Portman, you just disappeared on us for a few seconds, but if you look down your list that we got sent, and I'll tell you exactly where to look as I go back to my list, I want you to go down to number 15 on that as we see the rollout and, of course, the warm-up lap starting to happen. But a quick comment there, Rob. 15th place, Ryan Ottens.
Well, he's not 15th. He's 35th, actually. I think your small screen is just.
Yeah, sorry, 35th. I beg your pardon. 35th, yeah.
Yes. So in Ottens, superbike racer extraordinaire from years gone by. Great to see him taking part. So he's going to be flying the flag for us superbike races. So if the only person I talk about in the entire race is Ryan Ottens, the superbike rider, then excuse me.
Well, there you go. As we get into it now, let's have a quick run through as they get into the thick of it and get ready to go. They're coming around to get into formation. We've got Jordan Sherritt, Bruno Cadilia on the front row, Arne Versaki, Andrew Rackstraw on the second row, Jason Absmeyer and Blake Kruger behind them, Leslie Oliphant, Marcus Steyn, Tristan Nobriger, and Kieran Patterson making up the top 10 as they make their way around now. And of course, this is going to be something completely different. This is where they head into clearways. Out of clearways, it becomes the Clark Curve. From Clark Curve, they should be in formation. All 40 of them about to go to battle now for our second and final part of the CoCreate Solidarity E-Race, proudly brought to you by NEC, Pure Storage, and Data Science Corporation. Associate sponsors in the background joining CoCreate as we get ready to go now for our second grand final here this evening. It is the GT3 category, and we are going to be in for chaos down into Paddock Hill Bend.
It looks like we're at Silverstone, eh, Greg? We're back at Silverstone. Or what?
I thought we were at Brands. It's Silverstone again. I don't know. I always thought we were going to Brands for this one, but it does look like we're at Silverstone. Apologies for that. Not quite sure what went wrong there, but I thought we were going to have one at one and one at the other. So it's we'll go back to the other version of the circuit we were playing at a few minutes ago. But yeah, that is definitely Silverstone. Apologies. I wasn't looking at the screen. I've been looking down at all the information that's been put to me. Okay, so we're at Silverstone now for the final. This is probably going to help us out a little bit more. I did see a couple of back and forth there, and I'm not quite sure what the change up is. But nevertheless, 40 cars at Silverstone is going to be just as exciting. There's no doubt about it. As they're coming through the final parts now, let's see who's going to have what it takes to maintain the front end of this race for 45 minutes.
Yeah, it's not going to be easy. We saw with the GTPs that it's not easy, but Jordan Sherritt, we know what he can do. Arne Versaki, Andrew Rackstraw, I think, is an outside kind of underdog wild card here. Watch out for him. Blake Kruger, also something about him there in 6th place at the moment. I love the mix-up of cars we got here. We got McLarens, AMRs, we've got a nice Bentley a little bit further down. So we've got a good mixture of cars that are about to do battle here at Silverstone. I think it is a better choice, especially that we've got 40 cars going around. I think the longer, swoopier track will play a little bit better into the hands of a lot of these drivers compared to the tight, twisty, go-kart, narrow style that would have been Brands Hatch. But it is formation time. They've got 2 more corners. And then remember, it's all about Jordan Sherritt. He holds the pace here. Only once he goes can the rest of the field go. So I'm pretty sure we're going to see Jordan Sherritt holding down that McLaren at the front end, heading into turn 1. But watch out for Bruno there in 2nd place. He's going to do everything he can to try and just at least keep it together, keep it side by side, heading into that turn 2, 3 section, that fast swooping left, right onto the back straight section. They're coming across the line here now, any second now. Track temperature, yeah, pretty much what we saw earlier, 27 degrees across the line. Here we go. Cars are under starters orders now, it looks like. Across the start finish line, any second. There we go. Into turn 1. Who is going to get that all-important hole shot?
Oh, hole shot goes straight through there. Arne Versaki diving on the inside of Sherritt. Sherritt losing out ever so slightly, and looks like he's going to have a bit of a fight up with Bruno Cadilia. Bruno Cadilia having a fantastic start there, and looks like he might have got the drop ever so slightly as they head down into the first section. They come out of Abbey through Farm up towards the village and into the loop. A couple of guys running wide in the background. We see some action there. Srubler gets it completely out of shape. Oh, somebody completely off track as well. Not quite sure who went grass tracking, but there you can see coming back on track. One of the Aston Martins just got it completely wrong as they came up towards the loop and eventually had to get it all sorted out. Through Aintree, most of those guys got it sorted out. They're heading down the Wellington Straight now, and of course heading into Brooklands, we could see a bit of a change-up. We're watching things in the mid-pack there with Grobler. Grobler now side by side with a couple of cars alongside him, one of them being Barkhuizen. You've got Steyn in there as well as we get into the thicket. But out front, Jordan Shirt dropping the hammer and getting the whole shot and leading things at this point in time. Andrew Rackstraw in the 4 car, moving himself up into 4th place. Hasn't made up any ground just yet, but keep an eye out on that young single-seater driver from the Formula 1600 Championship. He'll be looking for a bit of a chance here to show what he's got against some of the best e-racers in the country. Oh! Out of shape in the background. Someone completely sideways.
Yeah, I couldn't quite see who that was that just got it completely wrong there. It might have been Denobrica that got it wrong, but one of the cars certainly going flying off track there, and that's going to cost him a lot of time. That's not what you want to be doing 2 minutes in to a 45-minute endurance race. And Clarkie, you spoke about it, especially this is proper racing now. This is go-kart racing going on here. Rackstraw on the inside, already touching. Well, this is not what you want to be doing in the early stages of this race, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think it was Steyn who had the problem there that ran wide. He dropped right down to the back of the field. So he was the car that had some issues and ran wide. But have a look at this. From a karting point of view, your next step, Clark, of course, is to either go into saloon cars or into single-seaters. Here's one of SA's finest single-seater drivers. He is part of the Race Driver SA program, which Piazza Musso runs. And it's certainly great to see Andrew Rackstraw doing an incredible job to stay there with Arno Versace and with Bruno Cadilia.
Incredible first lap from everyone in the field. Just Sherrod just shooting away into first place. You can see he's like 2 seconds in front of everybody else. Cadilia and Versace. Cadilia got a good start and just jumps Versace. And you can see people just trying to use all of the track there, going through Magus Becks and Chapel. Incredible racing from everyone. Just nobody, not really crashing into anybody. Incredible racing by Blake Kruger, who's jumped into, I think he's gone down to 8th place actually. I'm not quite sure because there's a bunch of cars on track and people going wide everywhere. It's 40 cars, it's hard to keep up with people. As you see there, now Van der Rensburg in front of that little battle with Hendrickson, Barkhuizen. Don't know who's going to get out top there. I think it is Hendrickson in front of that pattern. They're in 18th place, and then it's Barkhuizen and then Lacer trying to put on the pressure of Barkhuizen trying to apply pressure.
Yeah, look at this. We're on board at the moment, looking back, and I pity we didn't stay on board there. If we can go back on board, it'll be great to see. But it gives us a chance to have a look at these incredible liveries that Yellow Design Company have done for us. They did a super job to give us the liveries of these cars, and of course the liveries of these cars not only incorporating the British theme and the Union Jack on most of the cars, but also giving us an opportunity to get additional sponsorship space for all of our partners. You can see on our corner screen there Data Science Corporation, but of course on all the cars there is Data Science Corporation, there's Pure Storage, there is also NEC and CoCreate that is on every single one of these vehicles. So a little bit of additional branding there courtesy of Yellow Design Company. We do appreciate that. Now, as they come flying through, this is Barkhuizen. That's the big Bentley, the Bentley Continental. Remember, we've got a South African contingent that runs a Bentley Continental in the Intercontinental GT Challenge, of course, and that is Jordan Pepper. And he'll be looking forward to, of course, the 9-hour coming up in Kyle Army very soon, in the very near future, if it all goes according to plan. But this man right now pushing hard to try and get back up into the top 15.
Yeah, that's exactly what his aim will be. You can see that big snake already starting to form, so no one really getting away too much. There's good little battles forming. Fenter loses a couple of positions there. He's dropped from 12 down to 14, so he's lost up a couple of positions. But a very big train going on here. You can see early on in the race here, you don't want to make too many mistakes. It's about keeping your nose clean. Car number 13 there, a little bit further down, on board with Strauss. That's Corne Strauss. So, just taking a couple of cones on the outside of the track there, so you don't want to be doing that too many times. And Van Colla also running very wide there. So a couple of drivers getting out of shape in this early stages already, as our front runners are just extending the lead. But this is a good little pedal going on mid-pack for that final top 10 position. If you can get yourself in that top 10, that's a good night's driving there. So try and hold on to it. But they all bunch up in the hairpin. Oh, there was a touch. As Van Colla just spun out there. It looks like he was touched by Vergara. We're going to have to wait and see. It looks like someone definitely spun out there. coming out the hairpin. So easy to do. Just a little tap. Yeah, Vergara's name is tumbling down the leaderboard here on the left. He's now just in front of Hendricks. So problems there early on, but luckily 39 minutes to try and fight back.
Oh, he's recovered slightly though, Rob, so good to see Eli Vergara using his experience. He's probably had a little bit more experience at the East London Grand Prix circuit than at Silverstone's Grand Prix circuit, but doing a great job to recover. Leslie Oliphant now starting to get into the mix here for the battle for second. You can see Bruno Cadilia up front there, just ahead of Arne Versaki. It's Oliphant who's managed to get ahead of Rackstraw. Rackstraw's dropped back slightly. So Andrew Rackstraw there, you can see just losing a little bit of ground there to Leslie Oliphant. And what you're going to find right now is Rackstraw, even though he's a seasoned campaigner when it comes to karting and single-seated in the real world, he might not have the ability against some of SA's finest e-races and sim races to try and stay with him. Don't take anything away from him though. He of course uses his sim rig to learn and teach himself, as well as get taught by some of SA's finest karting fraternity in the Piazza Musso family, and an opportunity for them of course to use these sim rigs to teach the youngsters like Andrew Rackstraw and Tristan Nobriga how to do things properly and then put it into practice on the real tracks around the world.
Yeah, this is perfect practice, perfect saddle time, as we call it in the racing industry, as we go on board. Still here with Oliphant. He's just behind that pack there in 4th place, but he's right on the tail of Versaki and Kadia. So Sherratt has pulled away. He's got just over a 5-second lead. This is a good little battle, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th place. Rackstraw just a little bit further back than 5th. Oh, some moves being put on the inside there. Trying to make that move. Versaki trying to put it on Kadia. He's got the inside line. Kadia's going to have to let him through. Yes, he does. Oh, he runs wide onto the grass. It's going to cost him a little bit of time. He comes back. Oh, that's... I don't know about you, Clark, but I think that might be looked at by the COC. He went off, came back on, and that could have been a little bit naughty.
Yeah, that was a little bit dangerous there. Luckily, Leslie Oliphant reacting really well to keep it on track there. Obviously, Kadile just rejoining the track. I guess it's quite a big bump getting back on track if you get off of that grass. So maybe that's a reason why he bumps to Leslie Oliphant. That's definitely going to be looked at by the CSA. I'm sure there's going to be a little bit of investigations. Leslie Oliphant, he's still right behind. He's still right behind there between the cars there. Delay just look at the Aston Martin now is getting involved. It was now Jason Asmai behind him. I think he's got a 15-second penalty as well. And someone's gone off the track on the map there.
Yeah, somebody went off the track I saw in the background, but also keep an eye out on Andrew Rackstraw starting to close in now. Because of the in-house fight there, Rob, between Versaki, Oliphant and Cadilia, they've slowed each other down. And it's allowed Rackstraw to bring his big Aston Martin into the battle here with the McLarens. So we're in for a bit of a fight here, bud, because Rackstraw's coming along, and he's putting the pressure almost immediately onto the back end of Leslie Oliphant.
Yeah, this is a really good little battle going on here. You could see, it looks like Kadir just wants out of this now. He's not happy. It was a little bit too close for comfort here. Oliphant defending as much as he possibly can. And this is the problem. When you're trying to attack the car in front of you, you've got to worry about the defending behind. Oliphant doing a brilliant job here. Is he going to go on the inside? This is one of the favorite overtaking maneuvers. Not going to be close enough there. Gave him a little bit of room, did Versaki. And look, whoa, on the inside! Coming from miles back is Rackstraw. So Rackstraw, he said he was going to be a big contender in this podium, and that is the single-seater racing action that you were talking about, Greg. He is not afraid to mix it up with these guys.
Yeah, I love it. He's doing exactly what he did to Julian van der Walt in turn 3 and 4 at Red Star Raceway only a couple of weekends ago, to take the lead of the race and to go and win a Formula 1600 National Championship race at the Red Star Raceway. So he's certainly not afraid. There's no doubt about it. But of course, the difference he's going to have here, Rob, is the experience. His experience is all in the real world. He has had a small amount of experience, of course, in sim racing, and of course now joining us as part of the CoCreate Solidarity E-Race. Clarky, what's he going to do to change things up? You've been in the real world racing and you've done some sim stuff as well. What is the big factor here to make yourself go quick as we look a little bit further there at Leisha starting to make his way through?
Yeah, I think the real world experience, because real world, the simulators and stuff like that, they're a little bit not exactly perfect. I would say they're really close to what they are in real life. But I think the machinery in the game and in real life is it differs quite a bit. So if you look at the F1 games and compare them to the F1 cars in real life, you can see that on F1 you can see in real life that they go way faster. So obviously that experience in open wheel is in the real world is definitely going to come into play here, because he obviously has that experience to place his car in a good position to obviously put the pressure on the people in front of him, and to place his car in a good place to do the move. And obviously that's gonna be worrying for everyone in front of him, because they know, I'm pretty sure most of them know that Raxtor has got that experience, and they're just gonna try and keep him behind for as long as they can.
Clarky, one thing we're looking at there, of course, is Bernard Barkhuizen, and he's got himself a penalty. It looks like it's a 15-second penalty there in the big Bentley. So no matter what, looks like there's a little bit of a chance there for Charles and Deploy. Deploy a little bit further up the road, but Charles and Leisha, and then of course Eli Vergara recovering, have got a chance now of possibly jumping into what will be 13th, 14th and 15th place, possibly even down to 17th place once Barkhuizen's penalty has been applied at the end of the 45 minutes. With 33 minutes of racing still to go, and we're picking up on action here for the battle for 15th, and just behind that, in fact, is another little battle starting to rage. As you can see, Devon now under a little bit of pressure from Eli Vergara, who's recovered nicely, and then just behind that is Blake Kruger.
Yeah, Vergara doing a good job at coming back. We saw him with that big incident early on, found himself just clipped and spinning out. But he's got the pace, he's coming through the field here. You can see right on the tailpipe there now of Leisha. Is he going to make a move on the inside? Not going to have enough room to do it there. He's going to try and get the drive. I've said so many times, Silverstone is about, oh, you don't want to be running off like that too many times. But Silverstone is all about lining up corner to corner, getting that drive here. So Devon in 14th place doing a good job. Look at the speed that they carry through this section here. That is tremendous in these big GT4 cars coming onto the slight back straight, one of 3 straights around the Silverstone track. Closes that gap ever so slightly, and he's pulled away there a little bit from Vergara behind him. So it really is a track that some drivers seem to really prefer the opening half, and then some do battle with the second half of the track. So you really have to start planning it. We go a little bit further here. This is Oliphant. He's still right in the battle for that podium position, just behind Fasaki. Kadia has just extended that lead, looks comfortable in second place there, although he's only got 0.4, half a second about. That's comfortable enough at this race. At the time, ooh, again, so easy to make that move in the hairpin. You just fake to the inside, try and put the driver in front of you off. Really fun trying to do that for Saki. Saki having none of it and kept that door firmly closed. And right behind them, Rackstraw. So this is a good battle for 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th, all in that one shot. That is how close it is. Well, our leading man, Jordan Shirt, we haven't even spoken about him, 10.8 seconds up ahead. But remember, we saw in the GT3s with the lead that that man had in that category, it's easy to lose it. So you can lose that lead. It's a long race, still 31 minutes of racing action left. So lots could still happen in this race. A little bit further down, just inside the top 10, Kieran Patterson, he's in a good battle there. He's got Van Kolla, De Nobrega and Grobler just ahead of him. So we've got the battle out front for the top 5, or 2nd down to 5th. And then this good mid-pack battle, 6th down to about 9th for 10th place. And then further back, that's what you get when you get 40 cars on the track. There's good little battles all the way down.
A nice little pack start to form all the way through. That's exactly what we're looking for. Kieran Patterson in the second big pack of cars, fighting hard there. He's got Van Kolla just ahead of him, and Tristan De Nobrega, the other young single-seater driver from Formula 1600. So it's great to have those two guys in the mix and in the battles that are happening, and the ones that we've been picking up on here. Just a reminder, this is the GT3 cars that we're fighting with at the moment. The 4s are done, but as they come through now, we pick up on action with Anu Fasaki under big pressure and applying the pressure big time onto Bruno Cadilia. Bruno Cadilia there under massive pressure now, and these two just behind him, one through. They're forcing him wide, they're forcing him into mistakes. And of course, that is going to slow them down ever so slightly and allow Rackstraw a chance of possibly closing in there. You can see it's going to be very, very tight between these 4 cars. It's literally sitting with about half a second splitting the 4 cars for 2nd place, which is exactly what we've seen at almost every single version of the E-races we've done for Solidarity.
Yeah, and remember, Greg, there's not only the honours on track, there's that prize money up for grabs here as well. So a lot to contend for these drivers. Kadia he looks like he's able to pull a bit of a gap, but then they just suck him back in. Fasaki looks like he's got a good turn of pace, and he's bringing Olifant and Rackstraw along for the ride. Again, all four protagonists in the same shot there, but if they're not careful, Krobler, De Nobrega, Van Colle, and Patterson aren't too far down the road. They're only about 7 seconds back on this battle. Yeah, so you don't want to be battling too much, making too many mistakes, and allowing those other drivers in. Keep your noses clean. 29 minutes of racing, and try and figure it all out in the final stages. Here we go. Olifant once again gets good drive on Fasaki, but again just can't make that move. Fasaki forcing Olifant to the outside line. Rackstraw on the brakes, closes that gap down. And look at Kadir. This is where he just opens that lead up really fast in the opening section of this lap, but he seems to just suffer at the second part. Oh, Olifant, that's going to be brave. That is such a brave move in that fast sector. Has he made it stick? Yes, he has. Fasaki's going to give up, and Rackstraw takes full advantage as well. So loses 2 positions in a matter of corners. Oh, Clarky, that is how you get it done, eh? Rackstraw playing the perfect man there, just followed Fasaki through, and Olifant now, or sorry, I should say Olifant through, and Fasaki from 3rd down into 5th.
Yeah, I was actually going to comment a little bit earlier on that these cars, if you're in a battle like this, you can't make a mistake, because you can lose your consistency, and you can lose all of you can lose all of that time that you made up. And here we go, Fasaki and Rackstraw. Fasaki trying to get his position back, with Rackstraw going super wide through club corner, going down into Abbey through farm, and Fasaki late on the brakes gets to move down. And I think that's for play sorted, but Rackstraw stall behind him. He can force him into another mistake on the brakes, almost making contact, going into Village now through the loop, and I think Fasaki's going to make the move stick. And as I was about to say, if you make one mistake in a 4-car battle like that, you're going to lose all of your ground, you're going to lose all of your consistency, and an endurance race like this, consistency is and keeping your head cool is the most important things of endurance racing.
So we pick up on the battle a bit further back there. This is the battle now for 8th place there. Van Colle under a bit of pressure. Van Colle with Patterson right on his tail. Just ahead is De Nobrega. De Nobrega hanging on for dear life. And I think Tristan De Nobrega is realizing that he's no longer playing around in a Formula 1600. He's playing around in a big V8. And it's a whole other ball game to be playing around in that. That big Bentley Continental is now having to do some big work there as Van Colle tries to find a way through on the Aston Martin ahead. He's got a McLaren 720S on his tail, so it's the battle of the 3 manufacturers, and of course it's the British high T, which is why there are only British makes and marks out there at this stage. So some fun and games about to happen here for this 8th place battle. I think we're going to be watching out for a potential maneuver here from Van Colle to get through on Tristan De Nobrega, but he's also having to do dual duties here. As you've seen in the first race and now in bits and pieces of the second one, when you're in a situation like this, having to defend and attack at the same time is not an easy thing to do. You've got to decide what you want to do. If you go on the attack, it usually means that you can stay ahead. But if you don't, you're going to be in trouble. And this is why we see a maneuver here on the inside. There's a change-up. Patterson diving on the inside, but he's going to be on the wrong side of that little chicane, unfortunately, and just misses out on a chance of getting through there on Van Colle.
Yeah, Van Colle doing the perfect race there. Just left the door open ever so slightly, but with Silverstone, it lines you up, and he had the inside line, so there was no move there for Patterson to make. Van Colle doing everything he possibly can to hang on to that 8th place. Here comes Patterson again on this. That's coming from far back. I was going to say there had to be contact there. Patterson getting a little bit frustrated, coming from far back, and just tapped the inside there off Van Colle, and Van Colle then spins out, and that is a massive error going on the part there of Patterson. That's cost him.
No problem at all. So it looks like we're going to try and get that replay of that maneuver as well there, Rob. Just getting the ACC to work with us, because it doesn't look like the replay option is playing the game with us tonight. But I'm sure we're going to sort it out and go back to that replay. But yeah, that was from a long, long way back. I don't know if Kieran Patterson was thinking, that his talent could outweigh his maneuver. He certainly had a go. Van Colle saw him coming. There was contact, and Van Colle went sideways and got unfortunately tagged out. Patterson did get through, so the COC might be having a look at that one, see whether or not that was deemed ungentlemanly-like or unrace-like, or is it going to be something. So there you go. There's the tag. I don't know if that'll be a racing incident. I think there might be a little chat about that one. It wasn't quite hard to. How do we say in the British high tea? That's just not cricket, is it?
Yeah, no, that wasn't kosher, should we say? So I think there's going to be a penalty there. Looking to come the way of Patterson. Unfortunately, Van Coller, the biggest loser there, he's now dropped a couple of positions down to 10th. Did well, though, to only lose a couple of positions because right behind him, Fenter, Deploy are coming, but he's kept himself inside that top 10. There we go, on board with him now. Look who he's got ahead of him. And Mr. Patterson, could we see some redemption coming on the card? Yeah, I think so. But, Greg, so far, and have a look at this clock as well, the drive of the day so far for me has to be on, as I say, a commentator's curse. Ryan Ottens, where's he gone? He was in 20th place and he's dropped down. No, there he is, still 19th place. Ryan Ottens, you beauty. You see this?
You see, you didn't say it properly, Rob. You got to say Ryan Ottens.
Ottens. Love it. Love your word. Love your word.
There's an inside joke there, of course, with Ryan Ottens, because he's such a big lad that whenever he moves around, he kind of leaves an echo. So the previous commentator that we used to work with, of course, and myself came up with a bit of an echo for him. And every time he climbed on a motorcycle or came into the pit lane, we'd give the echo as part of his name. So it is fantastic to have him here. It really is cool. But we're watching this little battle as well as Matt Dencham's getting involved in some fun and games of his own. He's trying to close down there on Brits just ahead of him. So two cars now fighting just outside of the top 20. So we're not only concentrating on the action that happens out front. With the 45-minute, we can at least have a look and try and give everybody a chance at a bit of exposure here in the CoCreate Solidarity E-Race.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. All these 40 drivers taking part in this brilliant initiative. And once again, a big thank you to CoCreate and all the sponsors for making this happen. This has been sensational racing action so far. We still have just over 22 minutes of action left. We're on here with Barkhuizen. He's got a 15-second penalty. And just a little bit ahead of him, this is Devin Letcher in 13th place. So like you said, good little battles going all the way down the field. Dencham down there. Hendricks in 23rd place. He'll be trying to get himself up inside that top 20. Duplessis holding down that 20th spot at the moment. In second place, Willifant's got himself in that battle still for second, I should say. But looks like Kadia's just extended almost a second there. And Fasaki, in that battle that he had with Rackstraw, he's dropped now 7 seconds back on that podium fight. So our top three drivers look like they've cemented themselves there. Devin Letcher holding down that 13th on board here with Rackstraw. You can see he's just dropped off the pace there of Fasaki. So he's running 0.8 off Fasaki, who's 2.7 seconds off that battle for the final podium position. 0.5 seconds between Willifant and Kadia. This is where Kadia does seem to battle a little bit the second part of the track, and he's now closing down that gap. Still Jordan Sherrod out front. We haven't even spoken about him. He's pretty much led almost from start to finish so far. But with 21 minutes, there's still plenty of things that could happen. We go down on board here once again with Richard Van Coller. He's right on the tail there now of Fenter. So it looks like he's lost a position there to Fenter because he was on the tailpipes of Patterson, the man who kind of just gave him that little love tap earlier on. But he's looking to try and close in the gap now. Further down the field, just some good Charles down there in 17th place. Good drive there from Charles. Wentworth just behind him, and Ottens holding down 19th ahead of Duplessis. So far, Clark, a couple of incidents, but nothing too much to scream about. Oh, as I say that, Letcher just runs off track a little bit. But getting into the last 20 minutes, this is when the drivers have got to start just thinking a little bit more, try and wake themselves up, maybe somehow get the mom, dad, wives, or the dog, or someone to give them a little sip of coffee, get that little bit of extra energy right now.
Yes, it's been a long race, and obviously these GT3 cars, they're so hard to drive because they went faster than the GT4s. You're constantly trying to keep the car from spinning, and you're just so hard to. It's so easy to just use the back end on one of these cars, especially under pressure. We saw Patterson go into the back of Van Coller. Maybe Patterson just got a little bit hot under the collar and just tried to go for a move and just didn't work. So. Yeah, obviously, it's going to be hard to hold on for these last laps. 20 more minutes to go. Let's see how this race plays out. Olifant, the race is not done over yet for second place. Olifant and Kadile, as well as Rackstraw and Fasaki, still battling out, as well as the Nogbre and Krobler. Also, oh, he's gone wide. going through a farm there, and that's an easy place for the Mogra, and he's slipped into 6th place. Hopefully, Robert can make some time back here, maybe slip back past them.
Yeah, Denobriga's got a little bit of issues there. I think he's going to have to be very wary about making mistakes like that. I can tell you, Clark, you know all about it, and we know just how difficult it is to try and concentrate for this length of time. The 45-minute endurance race, of course, is nowhere near what they'll be doing in the real world. These guys race 4 or 5 hours, up to 9 hours when they come to South Africa, to Kyalami, in cars of a similar nature in the real version of the GT Challenge. And that Intercontinental GT Challenge, of course, coming back to South Africa in the very near future, the second weekend of December at this stage. But also just looking down, Barkhuizen is still the only driver that I can see that has been given a penalty. Olifant now with some pressure from Fasaki as he starts to close it down, but he's trying to bridge that gap to Bruno Cadilia up front. Jason Absmeyer as well, looking a little bit further through the field, has also gone missing from that top 10, if I'm not mistaken. I'm looking at what I've got in front of me and what you guys have got in front of you, but Jason Absmeyer yet again with some issues and hasn't quite gone according to plan again for the man there from G-Max's team.
Yeah, Absmeyer, we thought he was going to be a top contender in this. Like you said, he's got the pace, certainly, just hasn't quite got the luck at the moment. And once again, Lady Luck has struck and not getting it going in this race here. Olifant on board here with him there in 3rd place. You can see Kadia, he's now extended that lead in 2nd place to 1.8 seconds. So it looks like Olifant just closing into the clutches maybe of Fasaki. No, it looks like he's got that sorted. Further down, there's a good little battle going on here. Blake Kruger there in 16th and Ryan Otten's up into 17th place there. So I think he qualified at down in 35th place or something, Ryan Otten's. So it's been a really good drive from the BMW Superbike rider to get himself up into 17th. And Kruger holding down 16th. You've got Figara, who's had a very action-packed race, has Eli Figara at the moment, still holding down that top 15 spot. So it's been a good recovery after that incident in the beginning. But he'll be kicking himself for making that mistake, getting caught up in that incident. Because I think he knows he would have had the pace to potentially charge for that top 10 position. But into the final 17 minutes of this race, still plenty of racing action left. Just looking at track and track conditions, 27 degrees track temperature, so pretty much staying the same, 21 degrees air temperature. So that threat of cloud cover and rain that we thought we might have being out in Britain, of course, where that's all it does generally during the year. Ooh, who is that in 7? That's Ryan Ottens in the background there. So, that is Ryan Ottens.
Silverstone, it never rains, Rob.
No, never. It's the UK.
Have a look at Kieran Patterson in 9th place as well. Just have a look. There's another 15-second penalty that's been implied there. Was it a 5-second? Sorry, my screen is very small tonight, so I can hardly see it. It's a 5-second penalty, I think, on Kieran Patterson. Yep. So he's going to have to be wary about not getting any more of those. As we pick up on a couple of guys also who have joined us from around the world. A big welcome to Nicholas Van Wheelie. Nicholas Van Wheelie, of course, a multiple champion in the single-seater category that both Tristan Denobriga and Andrew Rackstraw race in. So it's good to have Van Wheelie watching us. We've got Steve Lavera out there as well, Peter Haynes, and Mark Williams has also come and joined us. So as we get into the thick of it now, we've got 15 minutes to go. 15 minutes means it goes into sprint race mode, guys. That's the difference now. These guys are going to hold nothing back. They're going to try and make up as much ground as they can, and we go back and look at Graham Null down in 31st place of the 40 cars that are still participating here in the CoCreate Solidarity E-Race.
Yeah, Greg, like you said, it pretty much is down to almost sprint race territory now, and it's going to start thinking about those tactics. You've followed the driver ahead of you. You've got to try and find his weaknesses. Otherwise, you've defended the race hold so long. You've got to try and keep that driver behind you. Noah Hendricks there in 22nd place. He's coming under from Densham right on his tail. So still all these little battles going away, all the way through the field. So with 15 minutes remaining, you've still got to try and keep that concentration up. It's all about that concentration. Clark King and myself have said all along, it's about being patient. It's about lining up your moves, not making mistakes. But that was in the 45-minute race. We're down to 15 minutes now. Now it's time to just start taking a little bit more chances. Start pushing that pedal down a little bit more. Start braking a little bit later and make those moves. You can see on the inside here, is Noah Hendricks going to make the move? No, he's going to try and make that move on Brits. Not going to be close enough there. This is into the hairpin where we've seen a couple of incidents so far. You can see the two different lines there. take the nice wide sweeping. That's exactly what he's doing. Going to try and go around the outside, but Brits has got the inside line. Ooh, that forces Hendricks to the outside. Not too sure he would have enjoyed that. So going very defensive is Brits. We can't even see him on the screen there. That's how defensive he's going. No, he might have a problem on that car. Clark, I don't know what happened there, but certainly Brits or someone. Now it looks like he's fighting back again.
Yeah, he's dropping back quite awkwardly there. Hopefully he can fight back. I don't know why he's dropped down a little bit. Hopefully he can get back up to Brits and maybe overtake him back. Now going into the sprint race mode, with just under 14 minutes to go now, there's going to be, I think, a lot more pressure on these drivers, because obviously it's getting towards the end of the race and like you're getting into your comfort zones, into your own bubble here and there, and then you're just trying to keep consistent pace. The pressure is going to be applied if you're right behind somebody, just like Blake Kruger and Vergara. They're right close by each other, and Vergara is going to be put under a lot of pressure, because now it's sprint race mode. You feel like you're going to keep this position, and then you realize somebody's right behind you trying to just cut through into your bubble. And I think that's going to be the main reason why we're going to see some mistakes towards the end. And Leslie Oliphant and Cadella actually 4 tenths behind each other, so they're getting really close to each other as well.
The other factor to be brought in right now, guys, of course, is the fatigue factor. A couple of guys that have participated in both of the finals will be definitely starting to feel it. It's not really too much of a physical fatigue. In other words, your body isn't getting too sore right now. You'd have to wait for a slightly longer session of racing, which we haven't had in the Solidarity E-Race yet. But definitely the mental strain starts to come in now, Rob, because you're concentrating so hard. You're trying to avoid mistakes. You're trying to avoid doing anything wrong that could be costly.
Definitely, Greg, and as we can see on screen here, I think some of our leading drivers coming through some back markers there, maybe. So it looked like Oliphant, Kadia, Fasaki, and Rackstraw getting through some back markers. So this is also the point in time where that becomes a factor. You've got to play that, because we've seen it so many times in real life racing and in esport racing that back marker can really cost you your chances if you get that wrong. Oliphant's closed right onto the back now of Kadia. We saw there was about a 1.8 second gap there. So maybe Kadia getting it wrong with those back markers. That's allowed Oliphant to close in there. Now down in that. That's the battle for second and third place. Just under 12 minutes remaining. Ooh, a little bit wide there from Oliphant. And like you said, this is the time where you've really got to try and switch the brain on. Keep yourself charged, because even though it's 12 minutes, it's only about 5 or 6 laps around this very long Silverstone track. So not a lot of racing left. That 12 minutes, not as long as it seems. So Oliphant doing everything he can. He's in that podium position. He's going to get some prize money, but he wants to try and get ahead of Kadia. And Kadia has been very seesaw in this race. He's had the pace. He's extended that gap in second place, but he's just unable to hold that margin. It seems like he drops back. And then there's this battle that's going on. Fasaki has not let go of the coattails of Rackstraw. Rackstraw right there in that mix. Denobriga up into 6th place. So good drive there from Denobriga, holding off the charge coming from Krobler. Patterson's got that 5-second penalty, and Strauss there in 9th, and Collar in 10th. So there we go on board with Cornet. Strauss, he's in 9th place there. He's got Patterson just ahead of him. But with that 5-second penalty, Patterson could find himself down in about 10th or 11th place if he doesn't step up his pace ever so slightly.
You know, he's got to get away there from Strauss. Does Kieran Patterson. Patterson's got to move as far ahead as possible, to the tune of 5 seconds if he wants to stay ahead of the hard-charging Strauss. Strauss with Van Coller in the background in the Bentley starting to make some maneuvers, and then just behind that, look at the battle for what is now 13th place on track. We're looking at Deploy, but ahead of him we've got Fenter. Just behind him you've got Barkhuizen in another one of those big Bentley Continentals. And then Eli Vergara, the man who spun out earlier on in the race, has made his way back up into the top 15. So East London will be pretty happy with that, as we see also Selwyn Roberts and Robbie Frank, Kevin Clark joining us on our live stream via our social media platforms. Here's a big maneuver coming through here. Look at Deploy. Brilliant stuff. Looking for a way through on Fenter. Has he got what it takes there? Clarky, that's a great move down the hanger straight.
It's an incredible move. It's nice, easy, not going real to way onto stone, which is obviously a hard corner. And now also Leslie Oliphant, also just on the front pack there. Leslie Oliphant is 2 tenths behind Kadile, so there's a massive battle for that second place, as well as for that 12 places, actually battles all around going to the last 5 minutes of this race. But obviously, this one, Deploy, Fenta, and Barclays, and focusing on this now because I think this is more of a closer battle than all of the other battles on track. And I think Leslie Oliphant is. I think Kadira is going off somewhere because he's gone down into 4th place.
Yeah, we're going to change up there.
And now, oh my god, Rackstraw's going past. So Kadira maybe make contact with either Leslie Oliphant or Fasaki. Now Leslie Oliphant slips into that 2nd place, and Rackstraw gets a nice, easy 4th place. And Rackstraw's actually gone to the pits, I think, because there's a peace sign next to his name. I think he has.
Yeah, I think he went into the pit lane there. I think he made a mistake and probably went into the wrong section. And Rackstraw makes a little rookie error going into pit lane. Bruno Cadilia and him coming together, and I think he may have just hit the wrong button on his control and on his console. So he's into pit lane. Here we're on board with him, coming back out onto the circuit. He's going to drop back behind Tristan de Nobrega, behind Grobler, and possibly behind Kieran Patterson. So he's lost out a massive amount of ground there as he comes back onto the circuit. So that is not what Andrew Rackstraw wanted, that is for sure. I'm not quite sure if he got helped into pit lane there with a little tag that you picked up on. I think there may have been some contact, but Rackstraw still says he's in 5th place, but I think that's going to change up once we get the timing all sorted out. Leslie Oliphant, though, doing a superb job to find a way through there on, first of all, Vasaki, but more importantly, Bruno Cadilia, the man who was in 2nd place, done a super job and hanging on to it, has made a crucial mistake with 8 minutes to go. They're never going to catch Jordan Sherritt. He's currently lapping, his fastest lap has been a 1:57.6. And of course, if you look at Arnie Vasaki at this stage is only doing 58.3s. So they have got no chance of catching this man out front. Sherritt doing it all right, as he's done on previous versions. So we already had a new winner in Morgan McCall earlier on this evening, beating Ulrich Ensign, one of our top winners in the previous version. But unfortunately, it doesn't look like it's going to happen here with Jordan Sherritt, also an ex-champion from one of our Solidarity E-Race versions. And this man is looking like he's going to make it a 2nd version for his trophy mantelpiece.
Yeah, Sherritt has just looked untouched throughout this race. Got a couple of back markers coming up ahead of him, but pretty sure he'll make quick and easy work of them. He's got almost 10-15 second lead now over the rest of the field, if not more. We go further down on board with Ryan Ottens. There he comes, 18th place, just behind Kruger, Wentworth and Vigora. So from 35th on the grid, it's been a good drive from Ottens up into 18th place. He's going to try and make a move. Ooh, right on the tailpipes there. Going to line it up on the inside, going defensive. No, yes, you know. Ottens at the last minute with the inside of Kruger. Brilliant move by the Superbike rider. You can see Clarkie, that's again pretty much that same quote. We always say the top drivers come from go-karting. You kind of learn the tricks of the trade in karting. And that was kind of a perfect karting move. Just lining it up, faking to the inside, faking to the outside.
That was a good move. Nice to put his car in an amazing position. And now I think Blake Kruger, he's being Schultz is now threatening Blake Kruger, and now Blake Kruger is just pulling back ever so slightly. And I think Blake Kruger's made a big mistake there, but that was a good move by Ruben Ottens. Nice slipping down the inside, placing his car in the perfect position.
Now, some great driving coming out of these guys. They really are putting on a good show here. It's not for the lead of the race. We've got a battle still going to rage there, I think, between our top drivers in the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd place. Not 1st, that is. 1st place is basically done and dusted, but 2nd place, 3rd place, and 4th still up for grabs as we continue that little battle. Let's go a bit further up there. This is Kieran Patterson now starting to close in on the back end of Krobler. Krobler could be in a bit of trouble. Kieran Patterson has ticked them off one by one, slowly but surely made his way through. In fact, not only ticking them off, he's also knocked them off the circuit. If you recall, he came together with a big Bentley earlier on. So Patterson now, with that 5-second penalty, has pulled away from Van Coller, which should allow him to stay where he is. But if he gets ahead now of Krobler, just up the road there, you just saw it in the front of the shot there, is Tristan de Nobrega. So Tristan de Nobrega in 5th place. What a drive there. Incredible stuff coming out of de Nobrega. And at this stage, possibilities of some changes up. We saw his counterpart, Andrew Rackstraw, in the mix. It could have been 2 Formula 1600 drivers in that top 5 had Andrew not made the mistake and gone into pit lane.
Yeah, and we can see that Rackstraw dropped down to 11th place. Here we go, on board with him. So he's trying to fight back. He's got Lecce in front of him. Strauss, I don't know if he'll have enough time. We're under the 5 minute and 30 seconds. As it goes, they get paid down to 10th place. So literally, Rackstraw is looking at money ahead of him. Never mind just a position. Lecce not wanting to give it to him. So he's going to have to rethink that. Rackstraw, he clearly has the extra pace. But Rackstraw, Strauss, Collar, Lecce, they're all right within striking distance there. So it's literally extra couple of rands the more positions you make. They come onto the back straight. A couple of back markers thrown in the mix here now as well. So it's coming down to that 4 minute crunch time. Now we are in the final 2 laps of this race. If we go on the 156 lap times that man out front, Jordan Sherritt, is posting. So he's got the lead of this race done and dusted. Olifant holding down second ahead of Osaki. And this is the battle. Rackstraw made the massive mistake, went into pit lane. He was in the battle for that top 3 positions. Finds himself down in 11th place now. He's going to try and tick off Lecce, Strauss, Van Coller ahead of him. Then the likes of Patterson and Krobler a little bit too far up the road to try and challenge them. Patterson, his job now is to try and get ahead of Coller in the final couple of minutes and try and pull out a 5-second lead if he wants to hold that now. He's still got 4.3 seconds from Van Coller behind him, so that's still not enough. That'll drop him down to 8th place. So it's all about those lap times now for Patterson. The man we're on board with here now. Has he got ahead? Yes, he has. He's got ahead now of Krobler. He's made that move stick. Can he pull out a gap? Can he pull 5 seconds on or Van Coller to hold down that 6th place?
Good possibility of a lap and a half to go here, Rob. It's 3 minutes to go in the race time, and they're about to complete this turn. So a very good possibility of probably about 1, possibly 2 laps, maybe a little bit more. We'll wait and see. We got caught out in the GT4 version because of the race not being extended long enough, but Baptist Hugo has sent us a message saying that it has been extended slightly, so we'll definitely get to see the guys go over the line and actually finish this time. But now as we get down across the line one more time, you can see how hard Andrew Rackstraw is pushing. He's looking for a way into Abbey. Can he make a stick? No. Big move there from Andrew Rackstraw, but a big move from Strauss as well to keep him out. Very, very tight racing now, heading down towards the turn 2. Unbelievable stuff, as always.
Yeah, this has been nothing short of spectacular so far, the racing action tonight. This is exactly what we wanted to see from the CoCreate Solidarity. Erace Rackstraw lining that.
Oh, he's out of shape.
On the final lap, he's coming together there with Strauss, I think that was. Oh, Clarky, yep. What happened there? Rackstraw looked like he lined it up perfectly, but he's lost 2-3 positions now. That is literally money out of his bank account now.
Oh, Rackstraw's super unfortunate that. Oh, that was gonna be a move restart. That would have been an incredible move going into that corner, going down the inside. I think the car that was next to him might have swerved to the left a little bit and bumped into him. And poor Rackstraw, he went from 30, went to the pit lane, rookie mistake, and there goes all of his money that he probably could have gotten that 9th place. And someone's slowing down there. It's one of the Bentleys. I wonder if that's Van Coller and Sherritt. Okay, so it was a back marker getting out of the way, and Jordan Sherritt, he's dominated this whole race, and he's on the final lap now. He will definitely be happy with his result. He's an absolute dominant race from start to finish. He's done incredibly well to keep consistent and keep his head cool, and he's done really well this race. He's done really well this entire race.
Yeah, he has indeed, but there's no doubt about it. Jordan Sherritt, the class of the field, just lapping almost a second and a half quicker than anybody else, which has extended his lead to almost 30 seconds. So Jordan Sherritt looks like he's going to be the man to beat you today. He has not been bettered since we left the lights going out at the beginning of the 45-minute endurance race. There's 26 seconds of the race still to go and only a couple of corners, Rob. So a very good possibility that we're going to have a second victory here in a Solidarity E-race for Jordan Sherritt. He'll be very happy with that. He's going to be getting himself 4,000 Rand for his efforts. But Leslie Olifant, Fasaki, and Kadelia have all fought hard in the background. Bruno Kadelia has dropped back from 2nd place down into 4th. Leslie Olifant, there you can see, there is 3rd, 4th, and 5th place coming onto the back straight. And looks like a drive-through penalty for Bruno Kadelia as well. So right in the closing stages, he may have to take that drive-through penalty and take the checkered flag at the same time. that could change up things completely here, and we may even see Tristan de Nobrega moving up into that 4th place.
Yeah, it's a long pit lane as Jordan Sherritt comes across the line, flashes the light, checkered flag is out, 4,000 Rand in his bank account. But Kadir, he's gonna have to take the pit lane and come across the line. That's going to cost him positions. Here's your 2nd place man. What a drive, what a mature drive from Olifant. He had plenty of battles with the likes of Fasaki, Kadir, and of course Rackstraw. Kept his nose clean, and he'll hold down that 2nd place. Brilliant drive there from him. 3rd place looks like it's going to go to Fasaki. And with Kadir, with that drive-through penalty, that's going to cost him. Across the line then is your 2nd place man, Olifant, 28.8 seconds behind Sherritt. That is the dominant car number 1. Fasaki takes 3rd place. Kadir plus 30-second penalty, it looks like there. So he's not had to take the drive-through penalty, but he will get slapped with a 30-second penalty. Is that enough now to hold him in that 4th place? De Nobrega, we wait for him to come across the line. Patterson got the 5-second penalty as well. Kadir parks it up the side, but we have to wait for the final results there to see who closes out the top 10. Kieran Patterson, here he comes. He's got that 5-second penalty as well. Has he been able to hold on to that 6th place? Let's wait and see for the final results.
There's definitely going to be some work there for the boys from Race Base. Bertus Hugo, you've got your work cut out for you with all those penalties that have to be implied. There's a very good possibility with those penalties implied, Andrew Rackstraw might still be able to get back up into the top 10. We'll bring you all of those results as soon as they are published on our WhatsApp group and, of course, onto the Discord channel for all the drivers. We've still got some action happening out on circuit as well there, coming to the closing stages for these guys. It's not done and dusted just yet. We have had action right the way through, and you can see it's a little bit of fun and games still to be had here for top 20 honours as our last couple of drivers come to make their way and to finish up what has been an incredible CoCreate Solidarity Erace GT3 final. We had a great one in the GT4s earlier on, and now the GT3s are done and dusted. So from Silverstone, we head back into our various areas around the world, and of course here in the EFX studio for the CoCreate Solidarity Erace wrap-up. I'm going to come to you first, Clarky. Incredible action all the way through, but I think the crucial point that happened with this part of the racing was the fact that we saw guys taking it easy in the mid-pack, and then when the pressure came on, you saw who rose to the top and who fell by the waysides.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's part of the sprint race I was talking about, just cutting into the whole racing bubble, and definitely affected a lot of the drivers around, especially Kadir, because he dropped back massively. He was in second. He was probably going to get that position, and then he just dropped back. He's dropped back he's dropped that back even more now because he's gotten that 30-second penalty where he could have gotten the 2nd place. So obviously that thing I was talking about where they can cut into each other's bubbles, and it obviously happened. And you saw there also, we didn't really talk about it, but Lesler, he went from 33rd on the grid, if I'm not mistaken. He got 10th place. It was an incredible drive by him. We didn't really see much action by him, but he did really well there to get some money in his pockets there, and I think it was a Bentley he was in. So it was incredible racing by everybody. A little bit of accidents here and there, but the whole action was, from the start, incredibly amazing. And obviously people falling back, it's that endurance and the fatigue that comes into play in endurance racing for sure.
Well, Clark, we're going to say a very good night to you, buddy, and once again a massive thanks from Rob Portman's point of view and my side for your awesome effort and the input that you brought to this version. We will definitely be contacting you in the very near future with plans for the next version of this incredible Solidarity E-Race. We're not quite sure where it's going to be, who it's going to be with, and where we're going. But with the way things have gone so far, there's definitely a call to do some more. And as I said, in terms of a thanks on behalf of the entire team for your efforts, well done. Another great effort from your side, and of course, great commentary with Rob Portman and myself. We did appreciate everything. And keep up the good work on the karting circuits. And as I said, and as we've said all the way through, as soon as we get a chance to open up the real race tracks to the world, we'll definitely be giving you a shout to come and join us as part of our team on the real race tracks around the country as well.
Thank you, guys. It's been a real privilege to commentate, and obviously thank you to your sponsors of CoCreate, and obviously supporting the South African medical experts for all of those superheroes and nurses on the front lines to hold back this pandemic and stop that second wave from happening. Incredible! It's been a privilege to commentate with you guys, and a very good night to all of you, and a very good night to all of the spectators.
Thank you, man. That is an incredible young man there, Rob Portman, and certainly got a lot of talent and a huge future ahead of him. As you said in the last one, we're going to have to watch our rearview mirrors because he's slowly but surely starting to put in some very, very superb commentary and a skill that's not easy to come by, as you know. But from the racing point of view for tonight, we've had some great stuff, both in the GT3 and the GT4 final. The GT4 final right now, Rob, I just got in my ear, is under review. So there's going to be a little while for us to sort of get the final results from GT4. We know, GT3 I should say, we know that Jordan Sherrod has taken the victory, but there's a couple of other ones that have to be sorted out in that top 10 before we make an announcement. We are going to try and get hold of some of the drivers from the GT3 and GT4 top 3. If we're able to get that, Brendan's going to send them some codes so they can jump on with us and we can have a chat to them about how they've enjoyed this version of the Solidarity E-Race. But from your side, Rob, while we're waiting for that, how have you enjoyed it?
Yeah, Greg, it's my second time joining you and Clarky on the commentary side, and thoroughly enjoyed it. Always loved the racing, the track action. Last time out, we were more on a street course where don't have a lot of experience at. This time, knowing Silverstone, knowing the pros and cons of Silverstone track, and we saw a lot of them tonight. We saw the highlights of the Silverstone track and how it can catch you out. But overall, I think good, mature, calm, patient racing from many of the drivers. One or two drivers getting caught out, by the pressure and making some silly mistakes. But otherwise, racing action all the way through both fields was world class. Clark did a fantastic job once again. It's always nice to get his opinion because he's got a very mature head on those young shoulders, and he knows, even from his karting background, the racecraft that's needed and lining up some of the moves and that. So it's great having Clark join us, and I think he's a brilliant addition to the team, and it's great to see that commentary in South Africa looks in good hands for a very long time with Clark around. But to all the drivers, well done. I think Jordan Sherrod in that second race just proved that he's pretty much the man to stop when it comes to the Solidarity E-Race in any form of racing. It looks like at the moment he really put in a dominant performance there. But brilliant racing action. The race directors have got a lot of work to do. They've been kept very busy tonight. But I think CoCreate, a big pat on the back needs to go to CoCreate, Data Science, NEC, all the sponsors, because in these tough times, to fork out money for initiatives like this is not always the easiest thing. It's easy to talk about sponsoring events, but when it comes time to physically pay the money in the account and sign off the checks, a lot of guys run away from that, and a lot of big companies run away from that. But the likes of CoCreate, Stephen and his whole team have come on board, and I think they're looking at this, especially what happened tonight with the racing action, looking at it going, well, you know what, in these tough times, considering the coverage and everything they're getting and the racing action that they're getting, that was a good decision to put their name behind this, because it's been another fantastic episode and another fantastic kind of screening of what Solidarity E-Race is all about and what esports racing can be about.
Yeah, for sure. And of course, remember that we're also going to be supporting the same foundation, South African Medical Experts. So the entry fees that each of the drivers paid go towards, of course, helping those guys and girls who are on the front line, our superheroes in the medical fraternities, to get kitted out with the masks and hazmat suits, etc., that they need. It's not a huge, it's not as big as what they need. We'd love to be giving them a lot more, but every little cent helps when you come to this kind of initiative. Just getting confirmation, Baxis has just published our results for the GT3 class. It's Jordan Sherrod from Leslie Oliphant, Arnie Versaki, Tristan de Nobrega incredibly up in 4th place ahead of Johan Krobler. Kieran Patterson ended in 6th. Ricard van Coller ended up in 7th place ahead of Corne Strauss, Devin Alicia, and Bruno Cadilia with that penalty drops down to 10th place. So that's not quite what he expected, I'm sure. But we'll wait and see if he's going to be too happy about that or not, and hopefully we'll be back for our next one. So that's currently the results for GT3. We're going to try and get some of those drivers on screen as well and have a quick chat to them. They have been sent the codes, the top 3, so hopefully we'll get a chance to chat to Jordan, to Leslie, and to Arne Versace. As soon as they are available, we'll go to those interviews. And, of course, just to give you an indication that the GT4 results that we published earlier on and mentioned are also under review. They're going to give us a final one on that one as soon as possible too. So there's been a little bit of chopping and changing that had to happen there due to the fact that we had guys going across the line and then the race being shortened and everybody going back into pit lane before we had the entire field crossing through. So we've got to just make sure that we've got the right guys and girls in place if there are any, and to make sure that we've got the right results as well. Rob, just while we're waiting, interesting fact, and what we picked up on at Silverstone, because of the length of the circuit, it took quite a long time in both of the heats for the leaders to catch the back markers. But just for interest's sake, and for people that are following, the likes of endurance racing around the world, particularly here in South Africa, we had round 4 of the South African Endurance Series yesterday at Desi's Raceway, and a new lap record, outright lap record, was set by Franco Scrivanti in his B26 Chevron of a 1:07.356. Now, the fastest lap ever around there in the past was a 1:10.2 by Mike McLaughlin in his backdraft Cobra. I know that the Superbike guys were doing sort of, I think, 1:11s and 1:12s around there. But the most important factor when it comes to an endurance race, of course, is to getting through the traffic. Franco Scrivanti picked up traffic halfway through lap 3.
That must have been around Desi as well. I mean, that's a hard thing to do, and we saw it. I don't know quite what happened with Bruno Cadilla in that heat, but I don't know if it might have been a coming together or irresponsible passing or something of a back marker. But to get a 30-second penalty, you've got to do something quite drastic. And we saw the top 4. We know Sherritt was out front, but certainly that battle for second down to 4th was very close, and everyone kept their noses clean until we came into some lap traffic. And that seemed to really put a cat amongst the pigeons. And we saw, Cadilla lose second spot. He dropped a couple of places. Olifant took advantage of it. Versace took advantage. Rackstraw closed the gap. And then, unfortunately, Rackstraw made that mistake. So, Clark touched upon it as well. Endurance racing is a different kettle of fish altogether. You really, from Sherritt's side, it's kind of easier when you get out front, extend that lead, and just manage it. It's not the easiest thing in the world to manage a big lead. You have to have your wits about you in that. But he kind of got away from all the nonsense, looked in his rearview mirror. He had clear track in front and behind him. He could just go and race himself. But when you're in the likes, and that's why I think Olifant deserves a massive pat on the back here, because at one stage he was 3rd, 4th, trying to make those moves or whatever. To keep your head for 45 minutes and not make any mistakes and get yourself up into that second place, not only for the money that's up for grabs, but to cement that second place is a huge pat on the back. It's a huge pat on the back for all the drivers that actually competed and finished the whole 45 minutes, especially for the likes of Ryan Ottens and Letcher, like Clark he touched upon, that came from 35th on the grid to make 10, 15 passes up into the top 20. I mean, that is some impressive driving. To concentrate for 45 minutes is no mean feat. And I don't think I could do it sitting behind a car rig, to be honest. My mind tends to wander very quickly. So hats off to all the drivers. Glad there weren't too many incidences. And again, like I said, just a perfect showcase of what the Solidarity E-Race is, what e-racing, car racing, bike racing, whatever, what e-racing on computer and digital can be. It was a perfect showcase tonight. The racing action was absolutely fantastic, and big congrats to everyone involved for sure.
All right, I'm trying to get hold of a couple of guys because it looks like our top 3 are not logging in. I've just sent a login code to Andrew Rackstraw to maybe get his point of view of what actually went down there. I have sent him a message via WhatsApp to see if he can join in. If he can, it'll be quite nice to sort of get it from the horse's mouth, so to speak, and find out exactly what went down in terms of the mistake he made. I have just sent it to him, so as soon as he logs in, maybe we can get hold of him and have a chat to him while we're waiting for the results to be finalised. He is typing at the moment to come back and say if he. No, I don't want that. I want you to come and join me in the interview. So let's just send him a message if you can just hang tight there. Interview, please. Let's see if you'll.
So, Greg, I've just had a message from Ottens, and he says, "You guys, Ottens. The name's so nice, you say it 3 times, not even twice. You guys always make me laugh. Qualifying lap didn't save, so I started back of the grid. So back of the grid to 17th. Well done, Ryan Ottens. Yes, Superbike races just rule, eh? We just rule. That's just how it is.
A rule, eh? Well, Rob, I can say to you that... yeah, she's hot, eh? You know, Ryan Ottens' wife is hot, eh? But Andrew's joining us now. He's apparently jumping in at the moment. So, Brent, as soon as you've got him, give me a shout-out. Andrew Raxel, we can maybe catch up with him. It would be quite nice to catch up with him because he's a young single-seater driver. I think I interviewed him once and you interviewed him once at Red Star Raceway. So certainly a man that knows what to do on the real tracks of South Africa, but had a bit of a baptism of fire into the Solidarity E-Race, as we saw. He's apparently logging in at the moment, Brent, so just let us know as soon as he is in, and then we can possibly bring him up on screen while we wait for the official results that are being tallied at the moment. The reason we're waiting for them, guys, there was a lot of penalties that were incurred by drivers in that last one, and a couple of penalties incurred as well in the first heats. And then, of course, we can bring you the official results as soon as we got them. There you go, on my left-hand side. A big welcome to you, Andrew Rackstraw. Did you have fun, buddy?
Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, that Solidarity race was absolutely amazing. The level of driving and the drivers there were exceptionally quick. Well done to Jordan on, I think he won it. Absolutely amazing to have a grid of 40 again. And yeah, with this whole lockdown thing and being racing deprived, it's awesome to jump on a simulator and race against 40 guys.
Andy, I know that you've had a chance to get back at the wheel of your Race Driver SA Formula 1600 at Red Star, taking a victory there, sharing the honours with Julian van der Walt. But this is a whole other ballgame when you get behind a rig or you get behind a sim situation that you've got set up there. I'm not quite sure what your setup is, but looked like we weren't quite sure, which is why we've asked you to come and join us for the interview. Was it a mistake going into pit lane, or did you get helped out and bumped into pit lane?
No, that wasn't on purpose at all. With the racing incident, I did get spun around and I couldn't join back on track. It just put me straight into the pit lane. So yeah, that wasn't on purpose at all. I did have 2 punctures, right rear and front left, so I was struggling a lot during that race to keep up on pace. It was just a very, very unlucky incident, and yeah, but well done to Tristan. He was also working very hard this whole weekend, and I think he came home.
Buddy, just one more question to you and one more comment that we'd like to get from you. Great to see yourself and Tristan jumping in with the Solidarity E-Race, and we do appreciate the support there. But not only did we have you guys on track with us this evening, there was a large amount of the Formula 1600 group watching from the sidelines, Nick Van Wheelie being one of them, a multiple champion in the class. But thanks so much for sharing the link for the E-Race onto the Formula 1600 page, and hopefully we'll get a couple more of those drivers to come and join us at the next one.
Definitely. I think lots of people after coverage will come and join the Solidarity race. I think it's absolutely amazing. And yeah, thank you so much for the commentary.
No worries at all. There you go. Andrew Rackstraw, thanks for joining us, buddy, and thanks for the quick interview there. Always appreciate the input from multi-talented drivers like himself. Keep your eyes and ears open on that name, Andrew Rackstraw, in the near future in single-seaters here in South Africa and worldwide. Certainly a massive talent. And Tristan de Nobrega, his, of course, stablemate, doing a great job as well. Just listening in the background. First race results. We've got the official first race results. There they are. Ulrich Ensslin has been deemed the winner. So he becomes our first double Solidarity E-Race winner, ahead of Morgan McCall, Charles Wilkin and Cody Sherritt. Junior McCall. Then it was Johan Grobler, Janse van Vuren coming through there in 7th place. Fraser Cooper. Now, Rob, I mentioned that name earlier on. He's down in New Zealand, and joined us as part of it. So we went international on this one, beating out Miller and Blanche. That is the official results there. So if I go quickly to where is my Word document that I opened up earlier on? Let me just get that for you so we can give you the exact amount of ammunition these boys are going to be working. 4,000 Rand going to number one, 2,000 to second place, 1,000 Rand to third place, 750 for fourth, 500 for fifth, 450 for six, 400 for seven, 350 for eight, 300 for nine, and 250 for 10th place. I'll even take 10th place right now, to be honest with you.
Yeah, $250 right now. Yes, I could quite happily that. That's for a bachelor like me at the moment. That's like almost a week's worth of food. So yeah, I would have gladly taken that. But now Fraser Cooper in New Zealand, isn't it like 2 o'clock in the morning or something ridiculous there now?
I don't know what time it is. It's a stupid amount of time in the morning. Because remember, they've gone like the UK did today. The UK went 2 hours behind us. I think New Zealand is about either 11 or 12 hours behind us. So it would probably be about 9:30 or 8:30 in the morning, if I'm not mistaken. So it's early in the morning there.
Yeah, it's literally 20 or 10, quarter to 9 in the morning there. So yeah, they're almost a day behind us.
Yeah, awesome stuff. I'm not quite sure who else to send messages to get interviews, Ben, because I only have a certain amount of drivers' names. All right, cool.
Ryan
so that is
Fraser,
our official results for GT3. We got the GT3 results sent to us. Let me just go back to that quickly so I can give you a confirmation on that one. There we go.
There we go.
So it's Jordan Sherrick, Leslie Oliphant, Arno Fasaki, Tristan de Nobrega, Johan Grobler ahead of Kieran Patterson, Rickard van Koller, a good effort from Corne Strauss, Devin Leisha, and of course, a man who made a big mistake right in the closing stages there, Bruno Cadilia, down in 10th place, but still getting $250 for his efforts. So exact same money for these guys, 4,000 first.
Just trying to see here quickly. Sorry, Greg. Ryan says Fraser's in Joburg, Stewart's in New Zealand.
Oh, ting-a-ling, there you go. I knew it was one of them that was here and one of them that isn't, but they're all the same. We went through Dingle Dell, so apologies, Ryan. Ottens. Anyway, they had fun. He had fun. It's all good.
Yeah.
I've had an absolute blast. I know that you have, Rob Portman. Thank you so much for joining me as part and parcel of the commentary team and presenting team on the CoCreate Solidarity Erace in association with Data Science Corporation, NEC Corporation, and Pure Storage. Rob, if we're going to do another one of these, are you going to come and join us again?
Yeah, definitely, Greg. It does get a little bit hectic at this time on a Sunday, but you know, by the time you sit down and get into it, the racing action keeps you excited, keeps you going. So I'm quite happy to jump on board whenever you guys need me, especially because of the cause that it's for. Things aren't actually getting better out there; they're getting worse, despite what everyone thinks. So I know, you know, a lot of people aren't getting affected by this. And don't really take precautions, but you know, please just wear a mask, sanitize. Just let's get this world back to normal. You know, I've been away from my family now for 7 months because of this COVID pandemic, and it doesn't look like my family's coming back anytime soon from Mauritius. So, you know, the sooner we all just be a little bit more responsible, and the sooner we can just kick this COVID to the curb and get back to normal life, the better. Because you know, and that's what the Solidarity E-Race is all about. You know, that's why CoCreate and all the other sponsors have put their money behind this. There are a lot of people suffering out there. There really is. I know some people look at the numbers and go, "Oh, just you've got to live and carry on with COVID. It's going to be around forever. Just carry on." Well, no, you know, it doesn't have to be like that. Just let's be responsible. Let's get rid of this. Let's work together and let's support those you support the most. And a big thank you to Stephen and his whole team from CoCreate. Big thank you to you for always lending your time and expertise and efforts to this. Big thank you to Brendan and the whole team from EFX. You know, people don't realize that it's not just me, you, and Clarky speaking here, and we just press play on a keyboard and this happens. There's a team of guys in the background managing this, and yeah, it truly is a brilliant thing. I must say, the more I get involved with it, the more I see that happens, and the more I take my hat off to everyone involved. So a big thank you to all the drivers for paying the money and entering. trust me, your money is going to a brilliant cause, and well done to all the winners.
Thanks, Rob. Yeah, amazing stuff as always. And Rob Portman, we hope to see you at the very next one as soon as it gets announced. And that is not going to be too far in the near future, we hope. A massive thanks from my side, of course, to the guys from Supercar Lifestyle who came up with the concept of the Solidarity E-Race. We do appreciate all of their efforts and everything that's gone into the planning and the fruition of what that planning has done in getting this event up and running, and another good, successful event that is going to help out those South African medical experts, our superheroes on the front line. On behalf of the entire Solidarity E-Race team, a massive thanks yet again to CoCreate, Data Science Corporation, NEC Corporation, and Pure Storage. And we wish them all the very best with their companies, that they keep going and doing what they're doing and keep supporting us. We do appreciate all that support. From EFX's point of view, thank you so much to Brendan and his team. And, of course, we look forward to announcing a new date in the very near future, because I've got guys that were involved tonight sending me messages like, thanks, Greg. That was awesome. We hope to see many, many more of these. Tristan and Obriga, we'll try and make sure that that happens. Until the next time, take care then. Bye-bye now.